encouraging global leaders to do business in the U.S., pledging lower taxes, but warning of tariffs if they don't. The president says Saudi Arabia is pledging a big investment in the U.S.
President Trump spoke by phone with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman Wednesday, the first call with a foreign leader in the president's second term. President Trump says the Crown Prince is pledging at least $600 billion of investment in the U.S.
But I'll be asking the Crown Prince, who's a fantastic guy, to round it out to around $1 trillion. I think they'll do that because we've been very good to them.
The president says he's also asking Saudi Arabia and OPEC nations to lower oil prices, arguing that will help end Russia's war in Ukraine.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. A new agreement just announced to settle opioid lawsuits against OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma. Sackler family members who own the company agreeing to pay up to $7.4 billion. That's an increase of more than $1 billion over a deal rejected last year by the U.S. Supreme Court because it offered blanket protection from civil lawsuits. The new deal limits that to only entities agreeing to the settlement. The proposed deal involves multiple states and local governments and still needs court approval. From the ground and the air, crews are battling a new wildfire north of L.A. Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Castaic.
In the last couple of hours, the winds have picked up significantly once again here, and as a result, we are getting flare-ups of the Hughes fire.
That fire prompting thousands of evacuations, but so far being kept away from residential areas mainly. Tomorrow, President Trump plans to visit the L.A. area after the devastating Palisades and Eaton fires. America is listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
You said bye-bye to big government. Now it's time to trim the fat from big wireless. Pure Talk gives you the exact same service. They use the same cell towers, the same 5G network. You get better customer service, and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. Get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. Make the switch. You simply dial pound 250, say the keyword, save now, save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
I think we're going to see a little more in the way of sunshine as we go through our Thursday afternoon. Still breezy from the northwest, so we're a touch cooler than yesterday. 32 for the high, well below average. Tonight, clear skies, very cold, down to 9. Friday, sunny and 35. Friday night, 24, partly cloudy. Saturday, partly sunny, upper 40s to near 50. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Thomas and Bob with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and would like to learn how linking to the market eliminates your fees and will generate you more income? Would you like to know how to lock in your gains every year without selling, even when the market's going down?
Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9-million.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, this is going to be a really good show today on the Annie Frey Show here on Thursday, January 23rd. It's too bad Annie can't be here for it. This is Ryan Wiggins filling in. Brad Range here, too. We're, of course, the rest of the crew. Annie just won't be here today. I'm guessing a day.
Yeah.
You know, just a quick little, like, sickness thing. This is such, I just said it's January 23rd. There is no more January day than January 23rd. Like, if you're in the middle of March or July or September or whatever, and you think of January, you think of this moment of January. And this is exactly what that is. There's a stomach bug going around. I think I got it last night, but it already went through our household, and I'm fine. My whole family's dealing with it. Like, half of St. Louis is dealing with the stomach bug. And then you look out the window, and you're like, hey, look at that. There's not really snow. It's leftover snow from 3 weeks ago.
Leftover snow from 3 weeks ago, and it's not just on the ground. It's still on the streets.
It's still there. Like, you can't, if you're in, well, probably anywhere, but downtown St. Louis, you can't park.
No.
You can't do anything.
Every morning I come in, there's that little school that's below us, and every morning I come in, and there's some parent dropping their kid off, and they have to park almost in the regular traffic lane because they pushed all the snow into the parking lanes.
And it's ice.
And then they're always pulled up a little bit too far, so I can't get in the opening to the garage. And it's like, just come clean this up.
Everybody in St. Louis is still dealing with this after, what, bad. 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks now. And the problem is that it's I guess it's still like a little bit pretty. We haven't gone full on gray crap snow out of this because it all froze. But that's the problem, is that if you get out of your car and you're anywhere near it, it looks like snow.
Yeah.
But if you step on it, bam, you're going down.
Yeah. Keyword step on, not step in it.
Exactly.
It's not,
Getting the mail, like I didn't clear it out well enough, and now it's done. Like I can't touch it. It's just what it is. But the good news is, it's going to get up to 30 today, which doesn't mean melting, but it will be getting into melting territory for tomorrow and the rest of the weekend for a few days. So if you're looking forward to getting some things done, either outside or just like not stepping on that stuff, that's coming soon. Here's what else is coming soon. Hans von Spakovsky in this hour, Senior Legal Fellow, Heritage Foundation. You've heard him many times on the Annie Frey Show. He's going to be here to talk about specifically what I'm going to open with, and we'll see where it goes from there, the birthright citizenship stuff. This is an executive order that, as far as I understand it, is a direct challenge to the 14th Amendment and really the interpretation of the 14th Amendment.
Yeah, I think it's the interpretation thing. What was the intended meaning of the 14th Amendment when it was written?
So and this is really interesting stuff. Yeah. And so we've never really had this challenge before. We'll see what Hans has to say about the likelihood of this being interpreted the way that the Trump team is intending. But you'll see about that. That's coming up next. Tyrus will try to connect with him as usual on Thursday, and then Hogan Gidley, America First Policy Institute Senior Advisor for Communications. You've seen him on TV 1,000 times. He is going to be here to sort of break down the first few days of the Trump administration, which is important to do because the executive orders, the change of society at large is coming fast and furious. And part of me is really excited to see all these things. Part of me is tapping my foot like, I'm ready for all this to be done now. I want it to be done Tuesday.
I want it now.
I want it now. I'm Veruca Salt. So it's a weird place to be because while the executive orders are going into place and, Tom Homan and ICE and all these things are right there ready to go. It's like, oh, yeah, this stuff takes time. Like this is the part where we see it actually enacted.
Yeah, but ICE is already out there doing their thing.
They are. 300 people arrested yesterday. As far as I understand it, these are people who are not just illegal immigrants, which is a crime we should define, but they are criminal illegal immigrants that they have gone after, which is what they said they were going to do. What's amazing to me is that people who are freaking out and can't believe that this stuff is happening. Do you believe this is the America we're living in?
Is this really what people voted for?
Yes.
And the answer is yes.
This is exactly what people voted for. This isn't stuff he even announced after he was elected.
Right.
This is the stuff he ran on. So to see it happening, I'm not sure why people are freaking out, but we're going to walk through just in this segment what happened yesterday, which is Donald Trump sitting down with Sean Hannity. Now, Brad, before I start playing these clips, and I'm just going to play them in chronological order, you've done a great job of cutting them up basically to, if you missed the interview, you'll hear the bulk of what they talked about right now. But when Trump sits down with Hannity, what is Trump looking for out of a Sean Hannity interview?
Well, I think Trump likes talking to Sean Hannity, first of all. So I think he's looking for an interview that's going to be, in his words, very fair. You're fair to me. Hannity will ask the questions in a way that Trump will have a chance to respond. So I think that's what Trump's looking for, and he's looking for a chance to get his message out about what his plans are, his goals are. And then, actually, as I went through cutting this, he actually reflected a lot on the campaign and how, the events of the campaign occurred and changed the course of history.
Bingo. That's exactly what I think Trump is looking for out of a Sean Hannity interview, too, which is getting his message out. Because Sean Hannity is obviously going to be friendly. I think they're friends enough that they probably text and stuff. I don't know what being friends with Trump looks like, but they're friendly. And so sitting down with Sean Hannity for Donald Trump is getting his agenda out and saying, this is what we've done. They'll talk about it. There's not going to be any stupid gotcha questions. Which, I'm okay with. I'm glad that Trump steps into those, but that's not what this is. And so we're going to walk through exactly what Trump wanted to get out through this interview, starting with this first clip right here.
Well, it was a lot of work. And as you know, I felt that we shouldn't have had to necessarily be here. Could have been done. A lot of work could have been, it would have been over. We wouldn't have inflation. We wouldn't have had the Afghanistan disaster. Wouldn't have October 7th with Israel, where so many people were killed, and you wouldn't have a Ukraine war going on. But with all that being said, I think it's bigger. It's bigger than if it were more traditional.
We've talked about that, too, that, yes, term number 2 is probably going to get more done because there was separation between terms 1 and 2. I do believe that. That's what he just said there. The executive orders are getting all the attention right now, and the picks, that are being confirmed through the Senate or being heard in the Senate are getting a lot of attention. But to me, this is where they went right away. This is clip number 2. They're already talking about getting the budget done. Now, this doesn't have to get done until March, but it takes a lot of work. This is a big change. They have to do it through reconciliation. I'm so glad they're talking about this right now.
And reconciliation has some specific rules that they need to do. So
this, to me, is one of the biggest legacies he can leave if they're able to substantially cut not just the size of government, but the spending that the government does.
One big, beautiful bill, 2 bills. Do you care at this point?
I don't care as long as we get to the final answer. I like the concept of the one bill. I guess I said one big, beautiful, and that's what everyone faces. Actually, it's sort of a nice sound to it. But I do like that concept. It could be something else. It could be a smaller bill and a big bill. Right. But as long as we get to the right answer.
He has pressed Republicans in the House specifically to really get on board with his agenda. My hope is, though, that agenda doesn't mean, well, we'll spend more now and we'll cut later. The tax cuts have to happen. That's going to expire, so that has to happen. Everybody knows that. But this is a real chance to change the size and scope of spending at the federal government level. And I believe personally there are enough fiscally responsible Republicans, not all of them are, but there are enough of them that could gum up the works that we should see a good bill here.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Sure, yeah.
Number 3 is Trump talking about FEMA.
Now, I will say that Los Angeles has changed everything because a lot of money is going to be necessary for Los Angeles, and a lot of people on the other side want that to happen. And
North Carolina, too.
Fast. Well, they don't care about North Carolina. The Democrats don't care about North Carolina. What they've done with FEMA is so bad. FEMA is a whole nother discussion because all it does is complicate everything. FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years. You know, I had FEMA working really well. We had hurricanes in Florida. We had Alabama tornadoes. But unless you have certain types of leadership, it gets in the way. And FEMA is going to be a whole big discussion very shortly because I'd rather see the states take care of their own problems. If they have a tornado someplace and if they let that state, Oklahoma is very competent. I love Oklahoma.
Yeah, he's right. The government doesn't, the bigger it is, the worse it's run and the more waste there is.
And the reason that is basic, you know, the basic thing about that is the farther away the government is from the people that it's supposed to be representing and serving, the less they have a connection with and understanding of what's going on. And whenever he was there talking about FEMA, he says FEMA can be good as long as you have competent people in there or the right kind of people. And what he's talking about there is people that are actually focused on the goal of FEMA, which is to provide emergency management relief. When we looked back at what happened in Florida and North Carolina, it came out that FEMA was telling people not to go to people's houses that basically had Trump signs. I don't know if that was the exact text message. They was like, well, that one person has been fired, and the person that sent that message to that person has both been fired, and that doesn't reflect FEMA. But it does show that within that organization, there's, I don't know if cultural rot is the right word, politics, whatever it is, that kind of person, that attitude shouldn't be in FEMA. And so whenever you put that closer to home, you put it in the States, if you get Oklahoma helping Oklahomans, they're going to care about them more than, say, somebody from Virginia or Washington, D.C. would care about somebody from Florida or Western North Carolina.
It also showed that FEMA was being used to do things that had nothing to do with disaster relief.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem. That's across the board. But when people go, well, why wouldn't you fund FEMA? Well, what Democrats did in the last 4 years, especially, is they took money that was allocated to FEMA to start spending on other priorities because they could pressure people. Why wouldn't you spend money on FEMA? This is disaster relief until we allocate it separately.
Yeah, and it turns out that the disaster they were trying to relieve is the disaster they created at the southern border. And so now they're trying to relocate illegal immigrants, illegal aliens all over the country using FEMA funds.
That's exactly right. Here's the next one from Trump talking about how Democrats can't govern.
It's turning out to be bigger. And I think one thing is happening is people are learning that they can't govern and that their policies are terrible. I mean, they don't want to see a woman get pummeled by a man in a boxing ring.
No.
They don't want to see men in women's sports in other ways. They don't want to see them, and they don't want to have transgender for everyone. They don't want a child leave home as a boy and come back 2 days later as a girl. A parent doesn't want to see that. And there are states where that can happen.
Oh.
They don't want to see taxes go through the roof. Like, this is the only group of people that want to raise your taxes. They say, we want to raise your taxes.
That is a weird thing that he brings up at the end there. And I've seen Jon Stewart talking about this and embracing it. Like, Democrats have embraced that they are the party of high taxes.
Yeah.
I never thought that could exist and be a winning message. And I guess it's not.
It didn't work this time.
It's not winning. But I can't believe that they've just said, yeah, we're the party of high taxes. It's the way we want big government.
Well, if you look at the Democrats' strategy over the past 4 probably to 8 years, it's always been trying to create jealousy and division. You know, be it through these DEI policies or even like taxes. That's class warfare. They're like, oh, look at how much money they have. They don't need that money. Have you ever come across somebody that's been talking about this? They're like, it's immoral for a billionaire to have that much money. And it's like, it's not immoral if they earned it legally. And they think, well, what we're going to do is we're going to play on these people's jealousies, and we'll get these people riled up against those people, and then we can get all the people who make less than the billions to gang up on those people, so that way we get voted into office. They don't care about the money.
No, but Obama said that it's Republicans doing culture wars.
Yeah, Obama's a liar.
I don't know, Brad.
Man, when we get to hoaxes, that man is a liar.
We got a lot planned today. The minute we heard that Annie was not going to be here, we went into overdrive, and we have a great show planned for you. So we'll kind of wrap this segment up later because there's a lot more that Trump wanted to get across in that interview with Sean Hannity. We're really in a new era just of media because we have a president who's accessible, who will talk to basically anybody. I was shocked to see Marco Rubio do his first interview as Secretary of State with Good Morning America. Yeah. So it's not just Trump. You know, he's got people in there who are willing to talk to anybody, who can handle tough questions, and will call out bad questions.
Man, Marco Rubio's good at that.
And we've got some great sound on some of these that we're going to play for you later. So hopefully you can stick around for more than just this moment when you're in your car, maybe getting lunch or whatever, because we've got a great show for you. Even though Annie is not here, we assume she will be back tomorrow after just a quick sick day. Hans von Spakovsky is coming up next. He is always our Thursday guest because he is awesome. He's the senior legal fellow at Heritage Foundation. And we have, all of a sudden, for the first time, a whole bunch of executive orders to ask him about how they're going to play out, what the legal challenges look like to a lot of Trump's agenda. That's all next on The Annie Frey Show.
This is The Annie Frey Show. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Extreme cold weather coming in through St. Louis this mid-January probably. If you're having issues with your furnace, give me a call. If you were told you need a new furnace without a question, give me a call. You'll be happy you did. We're all the same when it comes to like buying a furnace and air conditioner, just like with pretty much anything else. If you're like me, I want a furnace that heats, and in the heat of summer, I want an air conditioner that works. Pretty much simple. So is a more high-efficient air conditioner or more high-efficient furnace give me more heat, more more cooling? No, it doesn't at all. It gives you the exact same. So with that being said, you need to call me. Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600, or you can do the online thing, and it's Bart Inman, Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-230-9333. 314-230-9333. That's 314-230-9333.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you have a furnace that needs service, a heat pump that needs repairs, or a boiler that needs to be replaced, contact Air Comfort Service. They offer 24/7 emergency heating service too. AirComfortService.com.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
This next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
That's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the court? That one is likely to be passed.
Could be. I think we have good grounds, but you could be right. I mean, you'll find out. It's ridiculous. We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, we'll see. We have very good grounds.
We the people of the United States,
More perfect.
in order to form a more perfect union,
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Hans is here as he is every Thursday. Hans, thanks for being here.
Well, I appreciate you having me back.
So let's lay the groundwork and not just assume that everybody knows what birthright citizenship is. If you wouldn't mind just explaining birthright citizenship before we get into this discussion.
Birthright citizenship is a legal concept that almost no one in the world recognizes that says that if you are born in a particular country, you are a citizen of that country, no matter who your parents are. Doesn't matter if they're illegally in that country. Doesn't matter if they're a foreign diplomat in that country. If you're born in that country, you're a citizen of that country.
And I'm asking a little bit of the history here, so if you don't know, it's okay. But why is that just something that is in America and is nowhere else?
But it's not in America. And that's the mistake that all the critics are making and why Donald Trump is correct. Citizenship is defined by the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which was one of the Reconstruction Amendments passed after the Civil War. And what all the critics the reason the critics are wrong is that if you look at that, it's a very simple sentence. What it says is that you're a citizen of the United States if you are born in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Now, everybody concentrates on just the first part, born in the United States. They ignore the second part, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. I've actually done a lot of research on this and gone back and looked at what the sponsors of the 14th Amendment in Congress said. And what they meant by that phrase was that you owed your political allegiance to the U.S. and not any other country. And the easy way to understand that is that, look, if a German tourist comes to the U.S. and she has a baby here, that baby is a citizen of Germany, not the U.S., because even though they were born here, they owe their political allegiance to the German government, not the U.S. government. And that was recognized for 100 years after the ratification of the 14th Amendment. It was only late in the Roosevelt administration that they suddenly started saying, oh, well, we're going to ignore that second part, and we'll just issue passports to anybody who was born in the U.S. And what the president is trying to do is reverse that policy and go back to the way the 14th Amendment was originally interpreted and applied.
Hey, Hans, this is Brad. My question with that answer, that what raised the question to me is whenever we're looking at legal theories and understanding what the Constitution says, how important is it to go back and look at what the original authors of said amendment were intending by it?
Well, that's very important, and particularly in this case where you're trying to understand what does that language mean, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And I'll tell you the other thing that the mistake people are making. The critics say, well, subject to the jurisdiction of, well, if you're in the U.S., you're subject to our jurisdiction. No, that's territorial jurisdiction. What that means is if that German tourist comes to the U.S. and mugs me, that German tourist can be criminally prosecuted because they're part of our territorial jurisdiction. But they're not subject to the political jurisdiction of the U.S. That German tourist can't be pulled into jury duty. The German tourist can't be drafted into the military if the draft were brought back. That's the difference that we're talking about here. And look, there's only been 3 cases in the entire history of the U.S. before the Supreme Court that even peripherally touched on this. Let me tell you about one of the most important ones because that illustrates this.
Yeah.
In 1884, a U.S. Indian sued the federal government saying, hey, I should be considered a citizen of the United States. The Supreme Court, because I was born in the United States. Supreme Court said, no, you are not a citizen of the United States because you owe your political allegiance to your tribal government, not the United States. Okay? That explains it. And in fact, you know, the only reason Indians are considered citizens of the U.S. is because in 1924, Congress passed the Indian Citizenship Act. If we had birthright citizenship, there would have been no need for Congress to ever pass that law. And what's been happening for decades now is just a policy misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment.
So, Hans, you said that 1884, that's a Supreme Court case you're referencing, right?
Right. What the critics like to point to one other case. There was one subsequent case in which the Supreme Court said that the son of permanent, lawful, resident aliens would be considered a citizen. But that's because at the time, remember we had the Chinese Exclusion Acts, those very racist laws that said that no Chinese person could ever become a U.S. citizen. Look, that was a misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment. But even the best case that the critics have only said that the children of permanent, legal, resident aliens would be considered a citizen. That doesn't apply to illegal aliens, and we've never, ever considered that the sons and daughters of diplomats, foreign diplomats, are U.S. citizens either.
So, Hans, when Trump signs an executive order like this, my assumption is that it's been very, very well crafted with all of this in mind. Their intent is for it to pass legal muster. Is it that they're trying to get this to the Supreme Court? Is that the whole goal?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what is going on here. And look, as you know, a bunch of states have said they're suing. It's all blue states. They're suing. Well, I don't know what they're suing about. This order doesn't affect the states. This only affects the federal government. This affects, for example, the State Department. The State Department now, when somebody applies for a U.S. passport, they're going to have to show that not only were they born in the U.S., but at the time they were born, one or both of their parents were U.S. citizens. It doesn't affect what the state of Illinois does. And the Illinois governor was one of the people that was criticizing the president and saying wrongly, oh, it's always been the law of the land that we have birthright citizenship. I mean, that's just factually a total lie.
Hans von Spakovsky with us, Senior Legal Fellow, Heritage Foundation, giving us all of the lowdown, especially on this one, because there's going to continue to be a lot of discussion about this birthright citizenship law or executive order, whatever we're calling it. So is it possible, though, that if it's intended that this EO is supposed to work its way to the Supreme Court, that courts will throw it out on standing because they say, well, the states don't have anything to do with this?
Well, they could make that claim, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think I think they'll let it go forward, and the reason is, look, by the time he left office, Joe Biden had beaten Donald Trump, I think, by one judge. In other words, Donald Trump in his 4 years appointed more judges to the federal courts than any prior judge in U.S. history. Biden beat him by one, and that was because Democrats really wanted that. The problem is that every single one of the judges nominated by Joe Biden, they are the most left-wing, far-left radicals ever to sit on the bench of the U.S. court system. So what's going to happen is all these states, the ACLU, others suing, they're going to venue shop. They're going to file a lawsuit before the most liberal Biden judge they can find, because they know that judge is going to ignore the law. ignore all the history of the amendment that I just told you about and rule against Trump just based on ideology. So that'll guarantee they'll get the court. They'll probably get a stay against what Trump's done, but it'll work its way up and the Supreme Court will take the case.
So last question on this topic, Hans. How long is this expected to take? And in the meantime, what happens to the executive order?
Well, that'll depend on what the courts say about it. Right now, that order is in place. I have no doubt, like I said, some liberal, out of control federal judge will issue a stay against it. Given even if the lower courts, the trial courts, the courts of appeal, even if they work quickly on this, I don't think this will get to the Supreme Court at the earliest before the fall of next year.
Yeah, okay, so that's about what I expected. I was going to ask you about some other things, Hans, but before I do, you brought up another issue that is very interesting, and that's about the number of judges that each president was able to put through during their terms. It sounds like they were almost equal, Trump's term and Biden's term.
Right. Yep, that's true.
Have you heard anything in Washington, D.C. about this being another top priority of putting through judges now that you have a Republican Senate and a Republican president?
I haven't heard that because they've been dealing with so many other issues, but I have no doubt that will be a very important priority because it was for the first Trump administration. They understood, the folks in the Trump White House, how important it was to actually get good judges into those positions. I mean, look, that's one of the reasons we finally have a fairly good U.S. Supreme Court because of the 3 slots that Trump was able to fill on that court. So I have no doubt that they will put a big emphasis on this. But look, they've been so busy with all these other, frankly, wonderful executive orders they've issued that that'll come next, filling up judge slots.
Well, I'm tapping my foot here. I mean, it's been 4 days, and I haven't heard anything about it. So, hey, Hans, while we're speaking, Fox News reporting right now, kid you not, that a judge has blocked the Birthright citizenship executive order.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not surprised. I'm sure they venue shopped and found some liberal judge.
You want to know where it is?
Who will rule on their side.
U.S. District Court in Seattle, Washington. Surprise, surprise.
No kidding. Yeah, what a surprise.
Hey, before we run out of time with you, I did want to ask you about some of these pardons. You know, this is a big group of people to pardon. Although, by my count, Trump pardoned, 1,500 January 6ers and still didn't eclipse the number of people Joe Biden pardoned in the last few days of his administration either. So it's a lot of pardons. But how does that process work? Because I saw a lot of people online saying, some of these prisons were not, not just, they were kind of just holding on to the prisoner and saying, well, there's a process for this. Like, how does that work?
That it's an interesting question. Normally what happens with the pardon process is there's actually an office at the Department of Justice, and people who want to get a pardon or want to get clemency normally apply for it. The Justice Department reviews the case and then makes a recommendation to the president. That obviously didn't happen, certainly with the Biden administration, which, Joe Biden pardoned thousands of prisoners, and there's no way that the Justice Department actually reviewed any of those cases. With Donald Trump, look, he ran saying he was going to do this. So this is no surprise to anybody. And the difference between the two, the most that anybody did of the J6ers was really criminal trespassing. Not a single police officer was killed. In fact, it was only unarmed demonstrators who were killed. Compare that to Joe Biden, who pardoned murderers, rapists, thieves, drug dealers. I mean, the difference is stark between the two presidents.
You know, Hans, I said that was the last question I have for you, but I lied. I got one more. Hopefully you got time for one more, because
Yep, I do.
The other question that I wanted to hit on that I almost forgot about was starting day one, so starting Monday of Trump's term, what has changed concerning the border? You know, you can't build a wall that fast. So what exactly has changed in the week or few days that Donald Trump has been president versus when Joe Biden was at the border?
Well, I'll tell you the biggest change is that he issued an executive order declaring a national emergency at the border and closing it. What that means is that the Biden administration, whenever an illegal alien came across the border, the Biden administration would allow them in, process them, which means establish a record for them, and release them, where they would then disappear into the interior of the country. Donald Trump has actually shut down the border. So every single illegal alien trying to get across the border, if they make it across and they're caught, they're being turned around and sent back. So the flow into the country has basically wherever they're caught has gone down to zero as compared to the tens of thousands who were coming in almost every day out of the Biden administration. That is a sea change in what's going on at the border.
So Trump was able to do that, and it sounds like what that means is when Biden said, no, I can't do that, you have to pass a bill first, that he was lying.
He was lying.
What?
I mean, that was an absolute lie by Joe Biden. The president had the power to close the border. Joe Biden did under an applicable federal law any time during his presidency. He just did not want to do it.
Wow. Well, Hans, thank you so much for jumping around from issue to issue. There's been a lot of executive orders signed, so I figured we'd have to jump around, but I really appreciate your expertise on these things, as always, every Thursday here on the Annie Frey Show.
All right, take care.
Love Hans. If you ever meet Hans, too, he is just the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
You know, there are people, I've been in radio for a long time and met artists. You know, I worked in music radio, and most of them are great, but every now and then you meet somebody, you're like, oh, that person is completely different than the way they sound on the radio. Hans is not. Hans is like the nicest guy in the world, and just really appreciate when he comes into town. You know, we do events and things like that we invite you guys to. If that happens again, we will, of course, invite you to a heritage event if we have that on the horizon. Right now, we have to do a hard break into a segment that I usually love, but I really don't know what this is going to be like because I don't lead Wiggins America.
I know what it's going to be
when
like.
I'm hosting. So I know that Ethan's doing it.
Ethan's going to do it, and it's going to be younger, smarter, and better.
I don't love that. I kind of like the way it usually is. So let's see if he can try to just duplicate the brilliance of Wiggins America, I think is what the goal is. Stick around, and I think he's talking about New Year's resolutions. We're going to talk a little bit about crypto, too. So keep it here. Be right back.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Let's just face it, right? Your home should work for you, not against you. Hi, it's Kim, and if you've been dreaming of a new kitchen, bathroom, or a finished basement, now's the time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. They're St. Louis's trusted experts in turning houses into dream homes. Just imagine this, a spa-like bathroom, maybe a chef-inspired kitchen, or how about a cozy basement perfect for some movie nights? Their team handles everything from design to installation so you can just sit back and enjoy the process. Visit lakesidearty.com today to start your dream renovation.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon, and Missouri sports fans, I've got some awesome news. Underdog is available to play in our state. Underdog, the best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs. Which players are going off, which ones are ice cold. And this is so much fun. With the Champs game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money by choosing higher or lower on the stats lines. So how many yards, touchdowns, interceptions, goals. And Underdog is the only champs platform that really does put the power to cash out in your hands. So you can either ride with your entry or tap the win now button. With the double flex option, you can take 2 L's and turn those into a W. So you got great options with Underdog. Underdog is the best place to play. Sign up and deposit now with promo code MARKR, M-A-R-K-R, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. And if you're in Missouri, you'll get an additional $50 in bonus cash when you play your first $5 entry. That's promo code MARKR. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. $10 deposit minimum. See UnderdogFantasy.com for terms and conditions. Concerned with your play? Call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
One of the things with running is I want to enjoy the run, but I never made it very far because the arches on my feet just killed me. So when I got to the end of my rope and I said I have to do something to get rid of the pain, and a couple people recommended the Good Feet store to me. I loved how I could go in and get a free personalized arch support fitting. They put that time, that work, that effort into helping you find the right arch supports. And you can walk around this store with these in your shoes and try them out before you purchase them. So after I got my arch supports, the arches on my feet stopped hurting and the pain instantly, literally instantly went away. So if you have pain, go. Find a Good Feet store and go. There is an answer. Find the simple solution that will get rid of your pain. I'm Rondi, and that's my Good Feet story.
See how Good Feet arch supports work for you before you buy with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
Hey, it's Annie. Get your conceal and carry with the certified experts at STS Armory. From beginners and ladies only to pepper spray, STS Armory has a class for you. Call 618-931-GUNS or stop by in Pontoon Beach at the corner of Highway 111 and South Drive.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Have you bought cryptocurrency? Yes or no? What is cryptocurrency? Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? What we really want to know is if you've bought it and what type did you buy. Jump in the chat and tell us why. Go to youtube.com/@AnnieFrey, F-R-E-Y, and vote in the poll, and then leave us a comment, and we might feature that on air later in the show. The time is 12:46. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
We at the Annie Frey Show are making a big push to make a Lutheran education more accessible for local St. Louis area kids, and I need your help by donating directly at lesastl.org/Annie. That's lisastl.org/Annie.
This
I can see
is the Annie Frey Show.
I can see why sitting in this chair, why Annie's always like, oh, great, it's time for Wiggins America. It's so much funnier to be like, this is going to suck than if I were like, this is probably going to be a great segment.
Hey, Ethan, go ahead and clip that, and we'll play that for Annie later.
Yeah, I'll use that. How often do you say walking into studio, being in this spot, this is going to suck?
Well, I just go with it. You know, I think it's funnier to not even like try to pretend like you're doing anything good. Like I've got a pretty good persona going that I'm lazy and I just eat terribly.
You know, he sends me the Wiggins America topics ahead of time, and I'll look at them. And then I'll be like, Ryan, are you sure that we can do X, Y, and Z with this? And he's like, I'm loving all of the scrutiny I'm getting all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, if people didn't if people don't see you on the stream, they would probably think you weigh 350 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Based on the way that I talk about eating Airheads all day and stuff.
Well, I mean, it's the little Debbie. That's what it is.
I am a little bit jealous of your ability to do that.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's not a superpower. But it's close.
I don't know. I give it to you. That's a superpower.
No, I really want. I'm sorry that I'm going into a different issue here. I don't really like it when people are like, her superpower is hospitality. No, that's not a superpower. Superpower would be like shooting light out of your hands or flying. Those are superpowers. Superpowers are not that you can cook well.
You seem really passionate about this, Ryan.
You know what? That's part of like I'm writing my second book.
So you don't think
that's part of it?
You don't think it's superhuman to eat the amount of junk food that you eat? And
Well,
not
it's borderline. I'll give you that, but it's not a superpower. It's just something I'm extremely good at.
What's it called when you can eat like crap, but it like doesn't affect your weight. Like you burn calories like quicker. What's that
your
called?
metabolism.
Metabolism. Yeah, you just have really good metabolism or high metabolism, I guess.
Yeah, or
Usually they have energy though.
Or you have a superpower.
whatever you want to call it. I just don't love the superpower thing being thrown around. It's like when they come out with a new channel and it'd be like, oh, this is Animal Planet, and tonight we're going to show Jersey Shore. You're like. You have lost your mission. You're not using the words right anymore.
The Learning Channel is a great example of that.
Exactly.
Here's PBS Kids. Now Jersey Shore.
Yeah, whatever it is. Like it drove me crazy. Here's the Goat Channel. We're gonna show you some sheep. No, show me goats. You're the Goat Channel.
Is the Goat Channel a real thing?
No.
Oh.
Speaking of the goat,
Wiggins. Oh, Wiggins. Way too high of praise, Brad. Way too high of praise.
Well, he said goat, and then he played my sound.
I know. That's why I'm saying it's too high of praise for you.
This is the first time you've been in here since I was out last week, and I heard you took a lot of shots at me. I didn't get to hear them all.
Did I, Brad?
Oh, for sure.
I don't even remember.
You were saying how much better you do the segment. Yeah, now I get to sit here.
Wiggins
kick
America,
my feet
better,
up.
younger, better, smarter.
I'll be judging you the whole time. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? I will just I will follow those comments up with what you said to me the first time that I ever hosted Wiggins America, which was something along the lines of fail onward and upward.
Yeah, that's about right.
But it said fail in it. That's how it started. I'm like, really, that would, if we were to incorporate or change that intro at any point, throwing the mission statement in there, I think would be really good. Before we get into that, we had a funny comment we were talking earlier about
crypto.
And
that's our poll today. Have you bought crypto?
And I am a no on this, but this past weekend was Winter Warm Up, which is an event that Cardinals Care puts up every January Martin Luther King weekend, and this got brought up with a very popular prospect for the Cardinals, rising star right now, in Quinn Matthews, who was somehow this got brought up. I don't know how.
Somebody walked up to a rising baseball star and was like, "What do you think about Bitcoin?"
What are your thoughts on crypto?
They do sit down, with the media, with all of them, and then they go and they meet fans and they sign autographs, and there's different Q&As and stuff. So I'm not sure at what point this was asked.
I will say this. Of all subjects that don't make sense to ask in a press conference like that, I'm not surprised that somebody goes, "What do you think about Bitcoin?" Because if you think about Bitcoin, you really think about Bitcoin. It's like somebody sitting down with the latest prospect and being like, "Hey, did you know that I CrossFit?"
Anyway,
are Bitcoiners the CrossFitters of the financial world?
Yes.
His love for crypto somehow came out, and he is quoted saying, "I love crypto. I asked my mom, how mad would you be if I put my money in," is it Dogecoin? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
In Dogecoin. And she was like, "Yeah, this is going to be a short conversation." But apparently at one point, he was actually considering his income from the Cardinals being in Bitcoin, or in crypto,
cool.
I guess, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, we said crypto.
Yeah, not Bitcoin.
So you really could buy anything, but people really criticize crypto because of all the weird, dumb. One of them right now that's doing really well is Trump coin. I have no idea what the ethics are of running that, but that's one of the reasons we're asking the question today.
I read his net worth on paper is like 89% Trump coin.
Right now?
Yes.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's like tens of billions of dollars.
What was the Hawk Tua girl? What was her...
Was it Hawk Tua coin?
Hawk
Tua
coin?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But these things, the weird ones like that, now Trump's may stick around because he's the president of the United States, but when Hawk Tua starts a coin, they will rise fast and fall fast.
Yeah, they're called meme coins.
And so people try to get on that wave, and some of them lose a lot of money doing it. And so that's where it gets really risky. Whereas Bitcoin is actually, fairly stable. It's gone up a lot recently. And so I guess, you could say that it's not stable and that it's doubled its value in the last couple of years. But
right, which I think is I think it's just hilarious how it's kind of taken over, I guess, in some aspects for some people, and then some people, which I think would be at least me, and I think Brad is like, wait, what is it again? Like, what is crypto?
In typical
basic
Wiggins America
understanding.
fashion, we should probably save your content that you brought for later because we've got off on the side subject, which happens basically like half of the times that I do this.
So would you say then that I did pretty well in filling in, I guess you would say?
I would say you failed onward and upward.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I kind of followed your advice.
I'm not a huge fan. I don't really love a whole lot about this segment. Although I do love it when we just start talking. Like yesterday, I mean, it was all over the place. We were talking about going to Disney World and I don't remember what else, but it was all over.
I don't even remember yesterday's topic. It was something to do with food, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the latest in food trends. And it had to do with
honey, right? Or sweet.
It was what was popular in 2024. What was the big trend? And it was sweet heat. And you saw it everywhere. And I'm doing this again because nobody still believes me for some reason.
And then we got into, that's what you call Brad, and then the Disney World trip and the anniversary. And that was all over the place. Annie actually asked me during segment to go back and track every single spot that we went during that Wiggins America. I didn't do it, but,
Ethan's like, I have a real job to do.
Half of the things that were like, Ethan, can you cut that? Ethan never hears it. Ethan never does it.
Yeah, like the shirtless segment.
Yeah,
I was like, I had no idea what was going on.
Play that back
it
for
took
him.
almost a full 6 hours for me to actually hear what happened. I actually went.
It wasn't until I tagged you in the video that
I was
made.
like, so this is what they were talking about. They were accusing me of walking around studio just on my own time, just shirtless.
It's your fault for not paying attention. You got to listen to every single moment of the Annie Frey Show. That's actually what I'm telling the audience right now. If you're listening to the Annie Frey Show, the problem with you is that you're not going to listen to the entire show because you're going to miss so much that we're going to do nothing but inside jokes tomorrow, and you're not going to be in on it. So you got to listen to the
Neither
whole
is
thing.
Annie.
Yeah, right. Annie's not here. We think she'll be back tomorrow, by the way.
We blame the people for not listening to these 6 minutes right here. It's their fault.
We blame you, the listener. We should do that more. It is 12:56. We will be right back after the top of the hour break.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Thomas and Bob with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and would like to learn how linking to the market eliminates your fees and will generate you more income? Would you like to know how to lock in your gains every year without selling, even when the market's going down?
Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a truck accident, you need the best, Onder Law. Let us make your case our cause. Truck accident? Call Onder Law for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8 year old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the award-winning online learning program.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Designed by education experts, ABC Mouse seamlessly aligns with what your child is already learning in school. And with over 10,000 learning activities and more than 850 lessons, it's an engaging and comprehensive curriculum. More info at abcmouse.com/radio.
I have been teaching for 13 years, and I've never seen a program like ABC Mouse.
It encompasses science, math, reading, social studies.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensated for their testimonials. Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Want immediate cash for your home or see what your home is really worth in today's market? Find out for free from the local experts. My friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. 314-336-1991. Check out thegelmanteam.com today. That's thegelmanteam.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is a Fox News alert. An executive order already blocked on Lisa Brady. A federal judge in Seattle temporarily blocking President Trump's order to end birthright citizenship, a constitutional guarantee for babies born in the U.S. regardless of their parents' immigration status.
It's in the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment is from 1868, 3 years after the Civil War ended, during a period of Reconstruction.
Fox's David Spunt at the Justice Department, which is expected to appeal.
If they lose at the Supreme Court, assuming this does go to the Supreme Court, then there's a conversation about potentially amending the U.S. Constitution. And amending the U.S. Constitution is a difficult process. It takes 2/3 approval in both the House and the Senate and 75% or 3/4 of all the state legislatures.
U.S. District Judge John Kuhnauer calling the Trump executive order blatantly unconstitutional. Also, just getting word that Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth has lost at least one Republican vote. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski questioning his qualifications and saying behaviors he has admitted to, including infidelity, demonstrate a lack of judgment unbecoming of someone who would lead U.S. armed forces. President Trump is telling global leaders the U.S. is open for business.
Speaking virtually to the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, President Trump says his message to businesses around the world is simple.
Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth.
But the president warned.
But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff.
President Trump has threatened Canada and Mexico with steep tariffs beginning next month and says he's considering a potential global tariff on all products imported to the U.S.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. America is listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick. Soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
You said bye-bye to big government. Now it's time to trim the fat from Big Wireless. Pure Talk gives you the exact same service. They use the same cell towers, the same 5G network. You get better customer service, and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. Get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. Make the switch. You simply dial pound 250, say the keyword, save now, save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
I think we're going to see a little more in the way of sunshine as we go through our Thursday afternoon. Still breezy from the northwest, so we're a touch cooler than yesterday. 32 for the high, well below average. Tonight, clear skies, very cold, down to 9. Friday, sunny and 35. Friday night, 24, partly cloudy. Saturday, partly sunny, upper 40s to near 50. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Tony La Russa here. Has your loss of energy and weight gain thrown you a curveball in your relationship? If so, go see my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Discreet first-class professionals will help you hit those curves out of the park. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
97.1 FM Talk encourages you to support Red Cross Disaster Relief. Visit redcross.org or text the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. Your gift enables the Red Cross to help people recover from disasters big and small.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, a little bit of breaking news here. We're following the nomination process for Pete Hegseth, and it looks as if one senator on the Republican side is defecting. Any guesses as to who that might be? It's one that you would expect. It's Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, who said she is the first to oppose Pete Hegseth for defense secretary. So we'll see how this shakes out. It was reported about 3 hours ago from the New York Times that they were doing a mock vote. So I guess this is what they do before they go public with it to make sure that people aren't going to defect. And then if they do defect, then they won't have the real vote. And it looks like Lisa Murkowski said she's a no. If she's the only one saying no, he is going to pass with flying colors. All the Democrats, other than we talked about in the studio off air here, that maybe John Fetterman would cross over and vote for him, which would end up being 53 votes for Hegseth.
That would be just delicious irony.
It would be at that point, you're like, dude.
The person who's more conservative than the Alaskan senators, the Democrat who had a stroke.
It's just, at this point, Fetterman, why don't you just cross over? You can be a moderate Republican. You're right now a very moderate Democrat, and unfortunately, he still does vote with Democrats a lot. But it'd be awesome if he started crossing the aisle quite a bit now. After he saw the writing on the wall that his other Democrat counterpart did not win re-election in Pennsylvania, that's probably part of this. Anyway, this is the Annie Frey Show. This is Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Frey. Brad Range is here, and so is Ethan. You'll hear them throughout the show. We're going to connect with Hogan Gidley, American First Policy Institute Senior Advisor for Communications, coming up next about the first 4 days of the Trump administration and find out what we're seeing boots on the ground wise, what's the actual results of some of these executive orders and things like that. But before we do, we were in the first segment walking through Trump's interview with Sean Hannity. And as I set it up, if Trump does an interview with Kristen Welker or some sort of mainstream outlet, he is going out to talk to the opposition, which doesn't always include the audience-wise. You might have kind of a cross-section of people watching who aren't just Democrats. I mean, if you go on NBC or something, you're talking to Democrats. But if you do a mainstream outlet, you talk to Good Morning America or whatever, you're talking to probably a left-leaning audience, but some Republicans too, or people who are apolitical. When you talk to Sean Hannity, you're going to get a friendly interview, And the point of that interview is to basically just get your agenda out there for people to see what you're doing. That's what he was doing. There's nothing wrong with that. Trump talks to enough unfriendly media that you know that he's not just hiding somewhere like the Harris-Biden administration was doing
They
throughout.
didn't even talk to friendly media.
I saw in 2024, kid you not, a stat that said how many they had the number of press conferences that Biden did in each year in office.
Mm-hmm.
And 2024 was actually one of the lowest, which makes sense if you're getting worse.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But it also, they put up the time spent in a press conference. It was barely over 2 hours in the entire year of 2024 in the midst of running for president.
And
that's when you should be out there the most.
Trump spent 90 minutes on his first day in office in the Oval Office answering questions while signing executive orders.
Oh, he's easily eclipsed the entire year from Joe Biden in probably the first 2 days. He's way past it now on day 4. And that was before he ever talked to Hannity. He was past
Before we get
that.
out of January, he will have eclipsed Biden's entire presidency.
I mean, unbelievable. And there are people in the media, the left mainstream media, who acknowledge somewhat privately, yeah, it's nice to have that back. We don't love Donald Trump, but man, the dude's pretty transparent. They will say these things.
Oh, yeah. I like watching the press conferences because you can actually hear that relief on the White House press corps. You can hear it in their voices and when they ask questions like, oh, we're going to get an answer. We may not like the answer, but we're going to get an answer. It's not going to be word salad.
They ask some stupid questions. They still do. That's okay. Because when you have a president that can handle it and honestly put them back in their place, I don't know if you saw some of the earlier ones from this week before we get into Hannity here, but there was a reporter asking him, I think it was about January 6th. Man, January 6th is like all the mainstream media wants to talk about right now. And they asked him something about his pardons, and he started to answer, and then the interviewer or the journalist interrupted him, and he said, "Stop it. Stop interrupting me. I'm answering your question." And he goes, "Have some respect." And the guy goes, "I apologize." So that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
But that's also to an extent what they have to do, especially when they're a room full of other people trying to get questions. Also, that's what you do. But anyway, this is Sean Hannity. This is him sort of just getting his agenda out there. If you missed the first hour and the first segment, he talked about coming into office and what it would have been like if he had stayed in versus coming back for a second term after having Biden. That was kind of interesting. He talked about the spending bills that they're working on right now. Nothing really specific, but just that they're working on them. He talked about FEMA being something that's much better done state-wise than federal, and maybe that's still federal money. He didn't really specify, but he said the closer these disaster reliefs are to the people they're relieving, the better, which I have a hard time arguing with. And then he said people are learning right now that Democrats can't govern. And I think we've seen that in action every single turn. Democrats for 4 years were mismanaging the government, and you wondered sometimes if they were doing it on purpose. We know they probably were on the border. So that leads us up to where we are in the middle of this interview. Now, this is Trump talking to Sean Hannity about the pardons, but more so about Biden's pardons.
He heard that I was going to do it. I didn't want to do it. I was given the option. They said, "Sir, would you like to pardon everybody, including yourself?" I said, "I'm not going to pardon anybody. We didn't do anything wrong." And we had people that suffered. They're incredible patriots. We had people that suffered. You had Bannon put in jail. You had Peter Navarro put in jail. You had people that suffered. And far worse than that, they've lost their fortunes. They've lost their nest egg, paying it to lawyers. And those people, and people said, and they wouldn't have even taken, most of those people, they wouldn't have even taken a pardon. This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon.
When we were covering the inauguration on Monday, it shocked us all because we saw the news when you saw the news that Biden had pardoned his family for any crimes committed in the last 10 or 11 years. That's a long range. And the way that it's been interpreted, because that pardon specifically didn't include Hunter Biden, but it was basically a mirror of the Hunter Biden pardon, which got all the attention for the rest of his family, that these people, including Hunter, could have murdered people during that 10 years, and it's all pardoned.
All gone.
It's all gone. They could have literally done anything, and they will not be able to prosecute them for anything.
Man, you stop and think about the implications of what that says. And we had Will Chamberlain on from the Article 3 Project yesterday, and he said that it was a tacit admission of guilt, which, okay, cool. It might be an admission that they did things wrong, that they broke the law, that Jim Biden, Hunter Biden, everybody, that they broke the law, that they were doing things wrong. They were running around the world picking up sacks of cash for Joe Biden for his business, which was influence selling, apparently. Or it's also a tacit admission of guilt that, hey, I know I wrongly went after Donald Trump in my presidency, and I'm trying to protect myself from him doing the same thing to me. People don't operate out of their own sphere of understanding. When they're in something, that's what they make all their decisions. That's how they see the world and everything. So Joe Biden thought to himself, this is how I would treat people. So this is how other people would probably treat me.
I don't know about you, but whenever I see somebody, an admission of guilt to me is whenever I see somebody running down the street and they're holding bags with dollar signs on them and they have
cash flying out,
stuffed into their shirt. It's kind of flying out, and they have the raccoon eyes and they have the black and white striped shirt. To me, and they're wearing a beanie, that looks guilty. Now, I haven't seen them commit the crime.
Yeah.
But it looks guilty.
It looks guilty.
And maybe sometimes they're stealing hamburgers, like it doesn't matter what they're stealing, but they look like they're stealing. This looks like that.
Yeah.
This looks like when you pardon your entire family for unspecified crimes for the last decade, all of them, you go, that looks like a crime. It looks like probably a crime there. But he didn't. He's right. Yeah. Trump said in this, he did not pardon himself. And so,
well,
we didn't breach that legal question, which is always a question. Yeah. Can you pardon yourself if you're president?
There's an old saying that goes, the guilty flee when there is no pursuit.
So the next clip from the Hannity interview is again about pardons, but this is about Trump's.
A number of reasons. Number one, they were in there for 3.5 years, a long time. Right. And in many solitary confinement, treated like nobody's ever been treated so badly. They were treated like the worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote because they knew the election was rigged and they were protesting the vote. And that you should be allowed to protest a vote. You should be allowed to. When the day comes,
you shouldn't be able to invade the Capitol.
No, ready? Most of the people were absolutely innocent. Okay, but forgetting all about that, these people have served horribly a long time. It would be very, very cumbersome to go and look. You know how many people we're talking about? 1,500 people. Almost all of them should not have been. This should not have happened. And the other thing is this: some of those people with the police, true, but they were very minor incidents. Okay, they get built up by a couple of fake guys that are on CNN all the time.
Nobody watches.
They were very minor incidents.
You know how many of those J6ers were charged with insurrection?
Oh, I don't think any of them were charged with insurrection.
Yeah, it was 0. They tried.
Yeah, what is the phrase they like to use though? It's something else, and there was like 6 of the 1,500. It was like 6 people were charged with the phrase. I can't remember what it is, but like I've heard horror stories. Like I believe in the United States that you have several rights, one of which is the right to a speedy trial and a jury amongst your peers. And some of these stories that I have heard where people were arrested, put in jail, and never got a trial over that entire presidency, that is not a speedy trial.
No, that's political prisoner. One of those I've mentioned before. I had on my show on the weekend, Jake Lang, a couple times. It was always tough to talk to him though because he had to use phone cards from prison, and you had to schedule a time to talk to him in prison, and that's not easy to do. No. They don't just let me look at my QuickBook here and make sure that everything's in order. You get it when you can get it. And so I would try to schedule interviews with him and did a couple times. The guy to this date, and I just saw a picture of him. Actually, he's out, which is awesome. He was having a steak dinner, and he posted, I'm having a dinner with my wife. I think fiance at the time. I think they got married while he was in prison, and he was thrilled.
Well,
never got a trial.
My thing is this, because when you listen to the left on this whole situation, they were like, we have the goods on all of these people. Great. Give the goods, run to court, get the trial, and then put them in jail. Get your conviction if you've got the goods. To sit there and to not try somebody makes me angry. And I don't care if that person actually did it. If you've got the evidence, if you've got the goods, convict them and put them in jail. But you didn't do that. You threw them in prison, and I suspect it's because you didn't actually have the goods. And this was an effort, in my opinion, to stifle free speech. They wanted to make an example of these people so nobody would ever raise up and question an election again. The fact that people, do you remember this? You cannot question the results of a certified election. That is the most un-American thing I have ever heard. You absolutely can question everything in this country, and there's a bunch of you on the left right now out there questioning a lot of things now that your guy isn't in office. And you know what? That's your right. Talk your stuff. Do you. But remember that whenever you're back in power, you don't get to stifle other people's free speech.
Absolutely. The last one I'll play here before we get to Hogan Gidley on the other side of this break is Trump talking about his own lawfare that he had to go through for 4 years.
I went through 4 years of hell by this scum that we had to deal with. I went through 4 years of hell. I spent millions of dollars in legal fees, and I won. But I did it the hard way. It's really hard to say that they shouldn't have to go through it also. It is very hard to say that.
He's very right here. If I were in his shoes, I would be so mad. Now, I mean, things have changed now. But having had to have gone through that, and nobody's really pulling for you. I mean, the American people ultimately pulled for you, which is what matters the most. But there's nobody he could really turn to say, look, isn't this unjust? Somebody fix this. He was the guy. He had to turn to himself, in a sense, and say, well, then fine, I guess I'll become the president and rectify these wrongs. What they did to him is so gross, and what they did to all of the J6ers, especially, and let me clarify, especially the ones like Brad was saying, who never got a trial. They didn't get tried for a crime, and they were put in prison for 3 to 4 years for nothing. Now, maybe they did commit a crime, but we don't know. That's why you have due process. They never brought it. And so I get the anger and him saying, these scum. That's true. Those people are scoundrels.
Yes.
And they need to be put in their place because that is unjust, and America is a just place.
You know, the other side of that thing is, too, he's talking there about, quote unquote, getting revenge. You don't, like, everybody was worried, is Trump going to take his revenge? He doesn't need to take revenge if he wasn't unjustly treated. It was an omission from everybody talking and worried about him taking revenge. They were admitting that they knew what happened to Donald Trump was wrong, and they wronged him.
They ran on putting him in prison. That's the opposite of justice. That's not blindfold over the scales of justice, lady standing there. That's, I'm going to not just peek out from behind this blindfold, I am going to laser focus on a person and figure out how to put him in prison because I don't like him. That's despicable and disgusting, and it's one of the reasons I'm very, very glad that Donald Trump won. We got Hogan Gidley coming up to talk about the first few days of this Donald Trump term, what all has been accomplished, what is still being accomplished, and what is it going to look like in America over the next couple weeks. He's from the America First Policy Institute. He is on the Annie Frey Show next.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Triton Exteriors, specifically my friend Tim Nesbitt, who is the owner. He is from the customer service business, 20 years in the restaurant business. So the answer is yes. Watch the question. Anything you need, hospitality, personal service. We're upscale. We're a James Hardy company. Roofing and siding and gutters and great value. Tim just texted me and he beat the next closest bid by $15,000 just this week. You can call 314-717-1159 or triton-stl.com. Do you want to kickstart planning for your retirement this year? Well, I know a quick and easy way to do it. It's a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Kind of like getting the Cliff Notes on how you could make your money go a lot further in retirement. Hey guys, it's Dave Glover from KMOX. It's never too early. It's never too late to get control over your finances and your financial future. You can do it with a one-night class taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience. They're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You're going to learn about tax saving strategies, IRA and 401k withdrawals, Roth conversions, Social Security, and more. There's no cost. All you have to do is bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are still openings for this month's classes and next. So call 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110. That's my personal Dave Glover KMOX number, 314-350-8110 for Financial and Tax Architects.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
First, I want to thank Jeanette, my wife, who has been so supportive. As the Vice President knows well, it's impossible to do any of these jobs we do here, including the Senate, but now in this new role, without the support of our family and particularly of our spouses. And so thank you for being supportive every step of the way. I would not stand here before you today without that. I'm also thrilled and grateful that all 4 of my children are here. They're the most important legacy any of us will leave behind. The most important job I'll ever have is that of a father and a husband, and I'm honored that they were able to join us. I want to end by thanking Almighty God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That is truly the singular purpose of our lives. It's the most important priority. It's the only thing that will matter when we take our last breath on this earth. But this is an extraordinary opportunity that would not have been possible without God's blessing.
Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Frey here, and glad to welcome Hogan Gidley to the show. America's First Policy Institute Senior Advisor for Communications. Hogan, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate the time.
So we just played that clip there from former Senator Marco Rubio, currently the Secretary of State. And looking at news of the day, Senator Murkowski has come out and said she is not going to support Pete Hegseth. Do you see any more problems for any of Trump's nominees getting across the line?
I don't so far. I mean, let's be honest here. What's happening is that Donald Trump won this election in a landslide with a mandate, winning all the swing states, the popular vote. The people want him to put his nominees in place. They want his cabinet so that those folks can shake things up. It doesn't mean that they're radical picks. It means they're people that want to return their agencies, respective, back to the missions they were set out to do in the first place. Pete Hegseth is a great example of that. Someone I know, someone I like, But let's be honest, the DOD has become a serious problem in so many ways. It's the same department, mind you, that allowed a spy balloon from China to traverse the entire width of our country, stopping over our military installations, nuclear sites to gather information. This DOD under Joe Biden was the same department that allowed its leader, Lloyd Austin, to go AWOL for 5 days. No one knew where he was. Nuclear codes weren't taken care of. There was no chain of command that happened. And he even told his staff to not tell anyone he was going into surgery into a hospital. It's the same DOD that, oversaw the horrible withdrawal in Afghanistan that led to the needless, senseless deaths of 13 Americans at Abbey Gate. So this department has had a history of some epic failures, and what you want is for them to be war ready, for them to be competent and prepared for the challenges at hand that face us today. And look, let's be honest, our military is still the most lethal, most incredible fighting force on the entire planet than there ever has been. But you also need leadership at the top that continues that mission as opposed to the woke radical mission of DEI and other issues.
Hogan, during Trump's first term, you heard the phrase promises made, promises kept. I see nothing in the first 3-4 days of Trump's second term that he hasn't already promised. All the executive orders that the left typically would be screaming about. He said, this is what we're going to do. He ran on it, and now he's doing it.
Well, he ran on it, and he won on it.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. And only in not Washington, D.C. would it be a novelty that someone makes a promise and then keeps it. But Donald Trump did so in his first term. He's doing so now. The difference, of course, is that his knowledge and wisdom, his discernment that he gained the first time around is on full display here with the rapidity at which he's moving to accomplish all the campaign promises right out of the gate. These executive orders were written. They were prepared to go. They're prepared to withstand judicial interference, lawsuits, et cetera. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But right now, Donald Trump is not just on a mission. He's successfully executing that mission to accomplish things for the American people who have been kicked in the teeth now for the last 4 years. They want results. They want them fast. Donald Trump's the man to do it.
Hogan Gidley with us. He's America First Policy Institute's Senior Advisor for Communications. What do you expect to be happening on the budget? This could be a little bit of an internal fight, but it's one that I'm glad we're having because, these are the kind of things that we elected Republicans to do in both chambers is kind of fight over the budget. What do you expect to happen here regarding Trump? Is he going to lead this thing? Is he going to kind of let the House do what it needs to do and step in when he needs to? What are you looking for here?
Well, I think he's been pretty obviously involved and engaged like he never has been before. He had the factions in the House caucuses with the Freedom Caucus and the Main Street Caucus, the moderates, et cetera, all down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with them. He's met with the Senate as well. Right now, the track is for one big, beautiful bill. And they want to do that through reconciliation. And I know your listeners are savvy, but just as a reminder, if you do it through reconciliation, you don't need a single Democrat vote. And the idea here is let's negotiate amongst ourselves. And while there may be pieces in the bill you don't like, it's better than negotiating with Chuck Schumer, where you're going to get a whole ton of things in a bill you don't like. So bringing those factions together is paramount. And if they keep the one track or the one bill option together, it allows the House to bring warring factions, people who want massive budget cuts, people who want to get rid of the debt limit, people who want SALT tax and all those things to come to the table under the conversation of like a border piece, for example, a national security piece, for example. So if you put a lot of things in the bill, you may not like some of them, but you get a lot of what you want in that bill. And I think Republicans are going to do a good job under the Speaker's leadership, for example, running the plays that Donald Trump wants run.
Hogan, we were talking a little bit in the last segment about the amazing transparency of a Trump administration, really Donald Trump himself. We were looking at stats of Joe Biden's amount of time taking questions and doing press conferences over the 4 years. And in 2024, he was actually the lowest. It was somewhere a little over 2 hours total over the year that he spent in questions, taking questions from the press, which, of course, a lot of times were on note cards and things like that. And in Donald Trump's first couple days, he's already eclipsed that. It's just kind of refreshing to see a president who's willing to talk to the American people.
No question. But another word, it's not just the transparency, which I think Donald Trump ran him one on, but it's the accountability. How many times have we been exposed to somebody in the government that's working against Donald Trump or working to weaponize their particular agency against an American citizen for their political beliefs, and then nothing happens to them? We can talk about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's business dealings. We can talk about Hillary Clinton and her 30,000 emails. We can talk about Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, those people, for example. Vindman, all the folks who've been seen now to work against Donald Trump. It seems like there's never any accountability. One of the big moves I think Donald Trump did early on was he revoked the security clearance. He yanked those things like he'd start a lawnmower from those 51 intel agents who said that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. As you well know, only one of two things can be true. One, they really can't spot Russian disinformation, which is a real problem. Or two, they knew that the laptop was real and lied about it. Either way, it's not good. But Donald Trump not just made it transparent, but he also held them accountable. That's the secondary piece to this that I think Trump brings to the table.
Hogan, last question for you, because I know you got to run here, but what do we expect to see in the next couple weeks? You know, we knew there are going to be a lot of executive orders, and Trump is very good at drawing attention to what he's doing. What do you think that is coming up?
Look, I think with the Lake and Riley Act coming out of the House, we're going to see some movement there, maybe a signature in some form or fashion to try and heal the pain, bring closure, but also prevent some horrific thing like that from happening again at the hands of an illegal alien. I think we're going to see some more border moves as well, some defense moves. Once these folks get installed, like Kristi Noem at the Department of Homeland Security, or like Pete Hegseth, if he survives as well, which it looks like he's going to, even though Murkowski bailed on him, it looks like he's going to survive. If that's the case, then we can get the DOD back to its mission, not to mention Rubio, you played at the top of this at state, reconstituting our strength, our love and respect on the global stage. All these people need to be in place soon, and you're going to see that happen. And when it does, you're going to see the full force and weight of an American First agenda and an America First administration.
Hogan Gidley from the America First Policy Institute. Always appreciate talking to you here on the Annie Frey Show, and today is no exception. Thanks.
Anytime. Thanks, guys. Appreciate
All right. Thank you. So real quick, before we get to the end of this segment, I was looking over some of the news items. We're going to get to some CNN stuff here in a second, which was really fun. Really fun listening to Jim Acosta try to pretend like half of CNN isn't getting fired right now.
We were talking about the confirmations there, and breaking news is John Ratcliffe has been confirmed as the next CIA director.
Yeah, they were just doing that vote. He's been a little bit less, there's less attention.
He's not one of the big
on him.
And I don't think he was one of the controversial ones. I think he was there with kind of Rubio with kind of this guy's a sure thing. So
you said he's CIA director?
CIA director.
Well, we have a new CIA director in town, so welcome to the new America. Before we get to the next segment here, like I said, I want to play this from Eric Schmidt. Missouri, you've got some good senators. Here's Eric Schmidt talking about some of these Trump picks.
All right, just leaving the Senate floor, I was presiding. Senate Majority Leader Thune was making some remarks. It's very clear now that the Democrats are delaying these confirmation votes for no good reason. They're playing politics. Our national security is on the line. So we've got the director of the CIA, we've got the defense secretary, a lot of important nominations that we need to vote on. So we can do it the easy way with their cooperation or the hard way. And it looks like we're going to do it the hard way because one way or another, President Trump's going to get his picks.
I love it. I love it. I mean, just like you just said, they are confirming people regardless of playing these kind of these parliamentary games that they do. Motion to do this, and then it slows things down and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was one of the things that happened to Ratcliffe. He was supposed to be confirmed, I think, yesterday or the day before, and Chris Murphy of Connecticut made a motion and delayed it, and then they voted for him. It's just like Senator Schmidt was saying there. They're playing games, and I like that. I've seen this from Senator Schmidt. I've seen it from Leader Thune. Republicans aren't just going to be like, oh, and squishy on this. They're going to play hardball now, and that's what we have been begging for them to do for a long time. So it's really refreshing.
Over the years have we said, I mean, even over the years on the show, let alone in life, Republicans, grow a spine.
Fight them.
Have a backbone. It looks like they are
Yes.
concerning these picks, which is a big deal. The only defection that we've seen so far at all happened, a half an hour ago?
Yeah.
From Lisa Murkowski saying she's not going to vote for Pete Hegseth. It's still, if anybody else weren't, they probably would have come out by now, which indicates that Pete Hegseth would get confirmed, because they did kind of a mock vote.
They're actually doing a test vote right now.
Yeah, that was the plan. So if she's coming out and saying no, but nobody else is, that means he will likely pass, but we'll keep you updated on that. And when we come back from this break, I think we're going to try to get to that Wiggins America material that Ethan was so nice to make, and then we just kind of bantered around and never got there. It's about popular New Year's resolutions and how long they last.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because it's like stuff you've probably heard. You hear it every year, but I want to hear what this year's are. Probably health related, but we'll see from Ethan. Coming up next here on the Annie Frey Show.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Man, I remember the day, like a lot of my customers, going to school. When I went to school, I had to walk uphill, and it was 25 below zero and 14 inches of snow an hour. And then by the time I got out of school, the terrain changed, and I still had to walk uphill to get home. Remember those days? Crazy. This is extreme weather temperatures. Most people's furnaces can break. If your furnace breaks, give me a call. It's common. It's normal. It's going to happen. It has nothing to do with global warming or anything. It's just these are extreme temperatures. If we can't repair it the same day or it doesn't make sense, I'll give you a really good price on a furnace that gives you heat without the buffet slides that you're going to get more heat and it's going to save you money. So if you want common sense, call me, Bart Inman, 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com, and that is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
A lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, this is my last hope. The next step is getting them in the right arch supports. Our goal is to have that long-term change for them, to see someone that is in pain. I change things for them. See how we can help you with a free fitting at the Good Feet store.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid instantly. It's all through Medicaid, and as a St. Louis resident, it's 100% free to you. New to Medicaid, the Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is free to you through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid instantly. So go to freedomcare.com or call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
What does Del Walmsley, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, think you need to succeed in this market?
It's time to buy, and so you better get prepared, you better get educated, you better get your money right. You need to get involved because you're going to need the financing. You're going to need the vendors that we have available to us. You're just going to need the interaction with people. You need to immerse yourself into real estate.
Start your real estate immersion with a free workshop live online at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Financial health is more than just really the investments. You have to look at tax consequences. You have to think about legacy planning or generational planning or your healthcare options. Those all go together with your financial health.
Join Matt Goolsby for Retire Hour to hear his team in finance, healthcare, estate, and taxes discuss changes in law, strategic planning, and answer listener questions. Submit your questions to be answered live on air at retirehour.com. Retire Hour, Sundays at 7 a.m., right here on KFTK.
When we started Neovitamin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitamin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula Multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Have you bought cryptocurrency? Yes or no? We want to know. We've been talking a little bit about this, meme coins, Bitcoins, all the other different cryptocurrencies. We want to know, have you bought cryptocurrency? So jump on Annie's YouTube page, youtube.com/@AnnieFry, vote in the poll, and then leave us a comment, and we might read it on air. The time right now is 1:44. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
97.1 FM Talk presents Talk in Action, where we shine a spotlight on local charities making a difference in our community. Join us as we give back and connect neighbors in need. Visit 971talk.com/talkinaction to learn more. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on X @AnnieFryShow.
This song is super short. It's only a minute 55, I think.
Super short. I got a minute 38 left.
It's one of the most popular songs to ever be under 2 minutes.
Wait,
as far
really?
as I understand it, yeah. Yeah, because this was a number one in the late 90s.
It's that old?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, late 90s.
Yeah, this is Blur.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
Because I'm the one that pulled it and put it
Oh,
in.
yeah, that's right. That's right, yeah. But you know the song, right?
Yeah, I know the song. I just didn't know
You
it
were
was
born
from
in
the 90s.
2000?
2000. I'm a 2000 baby.
Gosh, it's amazing to hear some of these songs and go, wow, that's older than you.
Yeah. That's a thing that happens.
Okay, I was having a discussion with somebody today.
Okay.
You're a Gen X? No, you're Z.
I don't know what I am. We've had this conversation.
Maybe Z.
I forget
Z?
what I am.
Okay, if you walk into a 50s diner, are you like, oh, this is cool? Or are you like, oh, this is old?
50s diners like the checkered floors
Yes.
and like
Yeah.
no, I would think that's cool.
Okay, because I was having this discussion with a guy who's actually on my weekend show a lot, Old Roy. And he's like, no,
Ryan,
no.
you forget that I know Old Roy probably better than just about anyone here besides
Because you produce the show and
Yes.
you listen to it.
Yes.
He was saying, well, because I was born close to the 50s, I had a nostalgia for that. And therefore, when I walk into a place like that, I have emotion about it. But the next generation that would come would not, because they don't have any affiliation with the 50s. And I'm like, well, I get that you wouldn't have an emotional tie to it, but you would still think it has, it's cool. It looks cool, right?
Yes. There isn't necessarily an emotional tie to that, but there definitely is a sense because I think more so than anything today, one, it's the style because the style is no longer like that with modern times.
It's a theme.
But also the art behind it, like that's just not put into restaurants in today's day and age.
It's not put into anything in today's day and age.
Completely agree.
I like that's what makes old cars cool. Because the styling and stuff, like now modern vehicles are designed in wind tunnels and they all kind of look the same way because they have the same shape and all that other stuff because they have to achieve the certain mileage and all that other stuff. But you look back in the 60s, 70s to a lesser extent, but even older 50s, 40s, 30s, it was a style. It was an art piece. The designer was putting their heart and soul into that car. And so you got things like gigantic tail fins on Cadillacs and stuff like that.
Was Old Roy speaking just about diners or just like that time period of things in general?
It was a larger point being made that if you were born near a time period, even if you weren't in it, you would have some sort of affiliation with it because you had been around it. Like you would be able to identify with something that was 80s or 90s because it was not that long ago. Sure. But you really don't interact with people who would have been around in the 50s or had, because I was growing up.
Interact with you.
That's not funny. I was growing up watching things like Happy Days. So Happy Days was on in reruns even when I was a kid, and it was about the 50s. I wasn't around the 50s, but I was familiar with the culture just from being like close to it.
Yeah, and a great example of this would be, it was a few months ago now probably that we had the segment, the Wiggins America segment, where you had all the remixes of all of the old
sitcoms.
Yeah, sitcom theme songs. And well, you probably played 5 or 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I knew maybe one of them that I can think of. I had never heard of some
Joke
of
was
those
lost
shows.
on you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, now I was still impressed with the work that you did to
Thank
like
you
put
very
them
much.
together, but there wasn't that, oh man, this show, yeah, I remember this show. Like basically that's kind of what those shows for like you guys are probably now what like Seinfeld or Friends is for me.
Oh, that makes me feel old.
Yeah, that makes
That
sense.
hurts.
That makes sense.
Like
don't get
Seinfeld ended before I was born.
Yeah.
And so I mean that probably does match up.
The Friends phenomenon I don't get, because there are still people even your age who've really discovered Friends in syndication and just love it. There's a game show now I think on Netflix that's about Friends. Like it's trivia, it's people getting up, behind the little booth ringing in, and it's all about the show Friends. I don't get it.
Yeah, do you just not like the show?
Well, I didn't hate the show.
Or you just don't understand why
but
it's
I don't
as popular
get why,
as it is.
like, shows have their run, and then if they're amazing, Seinfeld was so unique at the time especially, that I get why it was a cultural phenomenon that stayed around. Friends obviously was a very successful show. It was around actually longer than at the end of it, more years than Seinfeld. But I just don't get why that would now translate to a new generation. I don't get it.
I honestly don't know either. Actually, my sister would be a good one to ask because, and I really like Friends. I think it's funny. It's a good show. I've watched.
You like it,
but I've watched it all the way through a couple of times. But like my sister is a huge Friends fan. Like like kind of like the level that some people are Taylor Swift fans. Like that level of Friends fan. Like knows the trivia, all those kinds of things. And yes, you're right. That has stuck on. And I wish I could give you an answer as to why that is specifically with that show, but I have no good reasoning for it.
Well, before we get too far down that rabbit hole, let's get to the New Year's resolution. We keep delaying it. Yeah, no, you got to do it.
We
said we were going to do it.
I thought that I was going to be 2 for 2 and just
just do the
pushing
stall.
it off.
We could. Don't get me wrong. We could do that.
Yeah, I'm not even going to waste time with the sounder. Let's get right to it.
No, Ryan is just saying, no, you have to do it. You have to go.
Do the thing.
He's filibustering.
Okay.
You know the thing.
Yeah, the thing, yeah. You want to talk about Joe Biden?
No, do it. Do what you brought.
So, as you guys previewed earlier, New Year's resolutions. Now, it's kind of funny. It was just a couple of weeks ago that there was I don't know if it was a specific day or if it was the week as a whole. It was either Quitter's Day or Quitter's Week. I forget what it is. But that was the second week. That occurred during the second week of January.
Yeah.
Which really goes to show you that New Year's resolutions are just stupid because no one actually does anything with them or really has any intent with sticking with them because the large majority of people give up on them by the second week of the year.
I'm not going to ask you if you do a New Year's resolution. We may have already discussed this at some point.
I think we did.
And I may have been gone when we did because I don't remember. But it's something you always talk about at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But I will ask you this. Do you know anyone who does a New Year's resolution?
And you mean actually
Anybody.
sticks it out?
No, anybody who even tries it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I can't think of anybody in my life that I know has done it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, and they, it's goals. Sometimes it's like I want to achieve this by the end of the year, stuff like that. The ones, like I said, the ones that have more success with it that I know are the ones that make more specific goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like not I want to lose a little weight. I want to get into better shape. That's kind of like a thought process, and it doesn't really ever translate into anything. But the ones that are like, hey, I want to weigh this much by this date. Those are the people that have more success because they have a clear defined goal and a place to go.
They're also just, and that's a great point, but they're kind of just boring. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to say is opposite of what you just said, and what I'm going to tell you is what right now the 6 most common New Year's resolutions are.
They're boring,
and they are the exact opposite of what Brad just said, and it's probably a reason why they don't gain any traction or people don't stick with them. Here they are.
Okay.
We're going to start
we
from
go.
number 1, and we're going to go all the way down. Number 1, save more money. 21% of people say that is
That's like you said, that's a loose goal.
Yeah.
It's loose, yeah.
You could have an extra $1 by the end of the year and be like, well,
I
did it.
did it.
This is how silly these resolutions are. The next 3, all health related. Number 2, eat healthier. That's 19%.
Yeah,
Number 3,
again, it's just like you said.
Number 3, exercise more. And number 4, lose weight. Those are all basically the same thing.
They are kind of the same thing.
Number 5, spend more time with family and friends. And number 6, this is the most specific one out of all of them, quit smoking.
Yeah, you could judge that. You can judge whether you did that or not. Quit smoking. You know what's crazy is how much marijuana has become part of our national culture.
I mean,
instantly.
How often? I mean, I remember growing up, and you're with mom, you're going to the store, and there's someone standing outside the store smoking. I mean, like just even in I'm 24 now. In 15 years, like how much that has completely changed. I mean, I feel like I'm honestly surprised that it's that high of a number. 9% of people say that that's their New Year's resolution. That seems pretty high to me because I feel like I never see people smoking anymore.
I say that because I bet a lot of those people are saying that not about tobacco. They're saying it about marijuana.
You think so?
I'm sure there are some. I don't know what the percentage would be, but I tell you what, it's possible that your entire life, you've been driving down the road, you're headed down 64, going into work or whatever, and you've been behind somebody who's drunk.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't really know it unless they're swerving and, you can see it in their driving. Man, I can tell you about at least once a day, I'm behind somebody who is definitely driving high because I can smell it. And
Yeah.
for you to be smoking so much in your car that you're driving 70 miles an hour down an interstate and I can smell you.
That's bad.
That is a lot of smoke coming out of your car. I just can't believe how quickly we've gotten to that place and how also like the pendulum seems to be swinging back the other way in some ways because where they've legalized drugs, not just marijuana, but like lots and lots of drugs in Portland, for instance, the furthest left people, I'm talking about people running like LGBTQ bookstores in Portland are like, I think we went too far on drugs.
This is not great.
Yeah. So there's this big kind of swing back. I just don't know where this ends. Like, do we have national legal marijuana? Because we don't yet. It's state by state still. Or does this pendulum swing back in the other direction? I really don't know.
Kind of hope we don't get that far.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just saying this because I'm so tired of smelling it. No matter where I go, either me or my kids are going, oh.
Is there a skunk around?
I'm just done with it. All right, 2 o'clock hour coming up.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. I depend on them for eye care, and they have an announcement. They're pleased to welcome Dr. Samuel Berry to their practice. Dr. Berry is a cornea surgeon, and he has the latest knowledge and techniques for advanced eye care and treatment in the field. So what do we call them now? The doctors? No, just the best doctors to see for your best vision. In St. Louis, you can reach them at 314-966-5000. They've treated more than 250 doctors, more than any others in the practice. Now, if you need help with dry eye, LASIK surgery, maybe you have glaucoma, macular degeneration. I had an eye disease when I was just 25 years old, so my eyes are very important to me. You get the absolute best care with the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Bersati, Andy Royer, and now Dr. Samuel Berry. 314-966-5000 or visit youridoc.com. They have a great location just off Manchester Road, a half-mile west of 270. Ophthalmology Associates.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design because they specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high-quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit lakesideRD.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A second nominee is confirmed. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Former Texas Congressman John Ratcliffe just winning bipartisan support in the U.S. Senate to be CIA director.
The yeas are 74, the nays are 25. The nomination is confirmed.
Ratcliffe served as Director of National Intelligence in the first Trump administration. For the new administration, only Secretary of State Marco Rubio was confirmed until now. There's a setback, though, for Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth. Alaska Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski announcing she will not vote for him.
She says that his past behaviors, including infidelity on multiple occasions, it demonstrates a lack of judgment, she says, that is unbecoming of someone who would lead our armed forces. She also talks about how these behaviors for men and women in the uniform, they are held to a higher standard.
Fox's Aisha Hasni on Capitol Hill. Murkowski referencing behavior Hegseth has admitted to. He's also denied other allegations. If he loses 2 more Republican senators, it could lead to a tie-breaking vote from Vice President J.D. Vance. The Justice Department is expected to appeal the first ruling in a legal fight over President Trump's order on birthright citizenship.
A U.S. district judge in Seattle grants a request from 4 Democratic-led states to temporarily block the president's executive order ending birthright citizenship for the U.S.-born children of unauthorized immigrants.
To hear the judge from the bench say that in his 40 years as a judge, he has never seen something so blatantly unconstitutional sets the tone for the seriousness of this effort.
Washington State Attorney General Nick Brown noting the ruling means for 14 days the Trump administration can take no further action implementing the order.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. States challenging the order say it violates the 14th Amendment. The president's executive order challenges whether that amendment's language on being subject to U.S. jurisdiction applies to those in the U.S. illegally. America's listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
You said bye-bye to big government. Now it's time to trim the fat from Big Wireless. Pure Talk gives you the exact same service. They use the same cell towers, the same 5G network. You get better customer service, and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. Get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. Make the switch. You simply dial pound 250. You say the keyword save now. Save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
I think we're going to see a little more in the way of sunshine as we go through our Thursday afternoon. Still breezy from the northwest, so we're a touch cooler than yesterday. 32 for the high, well below average. Tonight, clear skies, very cold, down to 9. Friday, sunny and 35. Friday night, 24, partly cloudy. Saturday, partly sunny, upper 40s to near 50. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon from my friends at Zero Res, and how about the biggest sale ever in celebration of the new year? Leave all of the 2024 dirt behind with the new year. Out the door 24. Let's start the year fresh in 2025. And here's the deal. 24% off all cleaning services for the month of January when you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk. If you didn't get it done last year, this is a great opportunity to take advantage of an awesome offer for 2025. Anything in your home, the carpets, the tiles, the rugs, the upholstery, every surface can be Zero Resified. So this is the time in January to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Don't forget the air ducts, too. That's really important, helps alleviate allergies or asthma, and you want to enjoy less dust, lower energy bills, and your home's going to stay cleaner longer. Take advantage. 24% off all cleaning services for the month of January when you mention 97.1 FM Talk or my name. 474-2020 or online, ZeroResSTL.com. Don't miss this offer. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
We at the Annie Frey Show are making a big push to make a Lutheran education more accessible for local St. Louis area kids, and I need your help by donating directly at lesastl.org/Annie. That's lisastl.org/Annie.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, if you heard the end of our last hour, we were discussing how bad weed smells and how it's everywhere. And then a conversation broke out online on the Annie Frey YouTube. If you'd like to participate in this conversation, I don't really know why you would, but it's kind of fun. What smells worse than that? Some people, I don't know why, but the question that's not the current question, the poll question of the day, which is, have you bought crypto? But the question has become on the chat, what smells worse? And some of the suggestions have been things like diesel gas, which I completely disagree with.
I think it wasn't so much diesel gas as diesel trucks.
Diesel trucks, the engine.
The exhaust.
Yeah, I disagree. I mean, I don't love that, but I don't hate it.
It's not as intrusive. Like, you notice it, but it's not as intrusive. It's not as sharp.
What about the smell of gasoline in general? Fan or no?
Well, I'm a car guy, so
I like it.
But I don't want to smell like it all day. Like, if I get it on my hands, I'm like, oh, that's going to end up giving me a headache.
Yeah, at the gas station, I'm kind of like, oh, that's kind of nice. But then I want to leave it. I don't want to keep smelling it.
You don't want to like spray it all over yourself?
No,
it's
not going to be Zoolander. What are some of the other suggestions? They were asking, what do you think Trump smells like? And somebody said, probably pretty citrusy. The other person said, like Big Macs.
I was going to say like Victory, but...
Oh, like Victory. Was there any other ones that I missed?
I'm
Doug says loaded diapers smell worse. I would agree with that. You know, I mean, it's not hard to find things that smell worse.
That's worse than pot.
Worse than pot, yeah. But anyway, if you want to weigh in, not sure why you would, but while you're there, you can weigh in on our YouTube live chat poll of the day. Have you ever bought crypto? Brad?
I have never bought crypto, and part of that reason is because I don't trust crypto. We talked a little bit about it when Ethan was in here in the first hour. Meme coins and stuff like that. Like, to me, the idea of crypto was like, oh, I kind of like where we're going with this, where it's a completely unregulated, ungovernment affected currency. You can't just make more of it and that sort
You
of
also
thing.
can't fiddle with it.
Right.
Unless you somehow make a backdoor. But the big ones, they know that you can't.
Right, your Bitcoins and
Yeah.
I don't know, Ethereum was one, but I don't know if that's even popular anymore.
Bitcoin is like the gold standard.
Yeah, that's what everybody, when they think crypto, they think that. But then there are things like meme coins, and we talked about that. Donald Trump has a meme coin and Trump coin, and how 89% of his worth on paper now is that coin.
It's incredible.
The thing to me that blows my mind about this, and Trump is an example of this, but he hasn't done this, but the Hawk Tuah girl had a Hawk Tuah coin, and basically she did, I think they call it a pump and dump, where you run the price of it up, and then you sell all your shares of it,
and then it
loses
craters
its
value,
and it has no value whatsoever.
Isn't that illegal?
I think
isn't there some legality to that?
Yeah, and the thing about it is, to me, this is the problem with like, that was supposed to be the thing that crypto was supposed to guard against. Now, don't go investing in meme coins. That's a terrible idea. You know, it's like play a game, win a bunch of money or lose a bunch of money. And like in that specific example with the Hawk Tuah girl, there were people out there investing their life savings in that coin. That's stupid.
Well, they're trying to catch that wave.
Right. It's dumb. That's something that you do whenever you have expendable income that you don't mind losing, that you gamble on that. It's the same thing to me. In my mind, it's kind of the same thing as going to a casino and throwing some money in a slot machine and pulling the arm. You got to be willing to lose that money before you even do that, or you have to be able to lose that money.
Well, your concerns with crypto, I think, are valid, but they're the same concerns that even crypto bros share.
Yeah.
You know, you're not saying anything that they don't disagree with. In fact, somebody on the chat right now, whose name is Crypto 1000.
Yes.
I think they might know a little bit about this. Says, don't buy crap coins.
Exactly.
Well, that's kind of the point.
But it's such a new thing that there's a bunch of people out there that aren't really experienced with this. And I am smart enough to recognize that I don't know enough about crypto to go, yep, I should invest in this, or nope, I shouldn't invest in that. All I know is like Bitcoin is really expensive and Bitcoin is pretty stable. So if I wanted to buy any crypto, that's probably where I would go. But even that, I don't trust it enough to know. And so that's why I've never bought crypto. I'm very suspicious of it. I'm leery of trying to get involved in it.
Well, I think the question that maybe we should have drilled down a little bit further on the question and said, have you bought Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is the one that real crypto investors and real libertarian-minded people who are really big on it say, no, this is the way to go. And some of those other big ones. Because the new crypto coins, you know, I'm looking up the Trump coins right now. And by the way, there's two of them. It's not just Trump coin. It's also Melania
There's
coin.
a Melania coin, yeah.
And both of them are doing well enough that if he owns a bunch of those coins, then he is, I don't know, I guess a multi-billionaire.
Yes.
I don't know. It depends on how they treat that stuff. And people have asked ethical questions. I've never really heard, it's such a new thing for a president to own their own coin that he's way ahead of any laws that might exist on it. So he's not doing anything illegal. But then they're going, well, is it unethical? I don't really see a problem with it. I can't figure out what it would be.
It wouldn't be unethical unless it was like all a scheme, like the Hawk Tuah situation where he would just dump everything and pull the rug on people.
Yeah. And I guess
sort of
the ethical question would be, are you using the office of the presidency to enrich yourself? But if you're doing it to enrich yourself in a way that doesn't sell yourself to anything, which is what this is. I mean, he's not like for sale.
It's Donald Trump though. His brand isn't that he was the president. It's part of it, but that's not the Donald Trump brand.
Well, then ethically ask that same question of if Ron DeSantis were
If
president.
Ron DeSantis would do it and he was selling it because his claim to fame was governor of Florida, that's a little bit more like, are you using a public office to do it? Donald Trump was famous before he became president.
It's tricky. It's really tricky because I could see there being ethical questions that come up about it. I just can't really find any that I personally have trouble with at this point. But, you know, I'm willing to listen on that topic because it is so new. So answer that question if you'd like to participate in today's YouTube live chat poll. Have you bought any cryptocurrency? I'm actually a yes on this poll. I had bought Bitcoin a few years back. I had one of those credit cards that gave you points back if you bought certain things. Yeah. But they gave you more points back if you turned it into an investment. So if you just wanted the credit or if you wanted to send a check, it was only 1% back. But if you used it to invest, it was like 2 or 3% back. So I'm like, oh, well, that's a good excuse for me to throw a little money into the market. Yeah. And this was during the AMC thing, which actually still is a thing. It never went anywhere. The dollar signs hands or whatever it's called.
Diamond hands.
Diamond hands. Dollar sign
Got
hands.
that shirt.
Yeah. Those people have not left, and I haven't either. I still hold it.
Apes together strong.
Yeah. At that time, I threw a little bit of money into Bitcoin because it had been, for its history, a little bit down from where it was.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have done more. Well, no, I don't, because what happened was the company that was holding that, and this is why novices like me are stupid on crypto, because I used a trading company to buy the crypto. Well, the whole point of the crypto is that you don't have to use anybody.
Right.
You hold the key yourself. You don't have to have any third party, no government intervention, no nothing.
Right.
Nobody can manipulate Bitcoin. That's the whole point of it. Like, it does grow, so it does inflate. But to get a new Bitcoin, which are constantly being made, you have to solve all these calculations, which are done now by supercomputers.
Well, and those calculations are processes of people transferring Bitcoin.
Yeah, and so to gain more, you have to do a lot to
create
more,
and
as they're created, it's a flat line. It's never like a sudden printing of them. It's always very, very even.
Yeah.
So you always know what it's going to be. So that's why the libertarian argument is that we should be using this because nobody can manipulate it. Totally understand that. Totally do. And I like that argument. But I bought Bitcoin stupidly through a third-party website. And that website decided at some point, like a year and a half ago, yeah, we're just not going to do Bitcoin anymore. We don't like it. We don't want to deal with crypto because there's too many regulations. Okay, that's fine for you.
Regulations.
But then because of stupid government. So they dumped all of my Bitcoin as cash back into my account. Well, I didn't want to cash out.
Right.
So
like, no, I want to ride this way.
And I'm not into it enough to even notice that it had happened for like 2 months. And I noticed, I don't own any Bitcoin anymore.
Where did all this cash come from?
I have some cash in that account, but it wasn't a lot. And so I'm like, should I really reinvest this? I'm not that committed to it. And then Bitcoin doubles. And I was so mad. It wasn't that much money, but it was just like, that's why I did it right there. Yeah. And then the purpose of doing it was totally void.
Yeah, sometimes like people are worried about Bitcoin. It's like, well, it doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. It's just ones and zeros on the internet. And I was one of those people. And the more I thought about it, it's like, well, if you get to the point where ones on the like if the internet ceases, cash isn't going to be worth anything either. Like what's going to matter is food, services, and maybe precious metals. If we get to that point where the internet ceases, things have gone really sideways.
Yeah. I mean, that's a much bigger problem that we face if the whole internet goes down at some point. But my experience with Bitcoin has been interesting, not just as a buyer, but a few years ago, my brother-in-law, who I think kind of leans libertarian, although we don't talk a lot of politics, he bought me a book about Bitcoin. And it was about the story of how it was created. And there's this it's a really interesting story because they don't really know who made it. Like of all these meme coins out there, they're all attached to people. Dogecoin's attached to Elon Musk and Trump and Melania and Huktua and all these different people. They start these things. Fart coin is out there. I think they know the kid that made that. But they don't really know who made Bitcoin. They have some theories, but the whole point of him creating it was that he couldn't touch it. So he probably got rich, but you don't know who he is because it's anonymous. That's the whole point. And it's a really interesting story. I wish I could remember the name of the book. I would recommend it to find the history of Bitcoin. I learned a lot about the way Bitcoin runs, too, throughout reading the history. And just interestingly enough, I have a couple friends who are in the tech world. And so they early on saw that this was becoming a thing, and they jumped in and invested some money in Bitcoin. Well, this is when it was like $5,000. Now, for comparison, it's like $100,000 per.
Right.
So they made a whole bunch of money real fast. But because they were so, and this was when we were in our early 20s, like right when Bitcoin was starting.
Right.
Because they were not that wise with their money, they lost all of it after cashing it out on stupid crap.
Mm-hmm.
So though they made a good deal of money, they also were like, oh, this is great. Just like a stupid kid would. You go, oh, I'm just going to throw this over here. I'm going to invest in this. I'm going to buy myself a nice car. And it was just gone.
Yeah.
So everybody who I know who made a lot of money on Bitcoin didn't do anything with it.
I think that's also why it was kind of like there was a lot of volatility in Bitcoin at the beginning, is because people would jump in it and then they were like, oh man, look at all this money I got. I better get out of this before it drops. And then they would drop and then it would dip and then a bunch of people would jump in and then it would shoot back up again. And as more people get involved in it, there's less volatility because that sort of normalizes itself because people are getting in and getting out more at the same rate.
Yeah, and Chris Tyrell is online questioning. He said, it's never got to 5,000 until 2017. Well, maybe they got in earlier than that. Then I don't remember.
Yeah.
But my point is that they got rich and they didn't know what to do with it, and then none of them are rich now.
Right, and then you hear stories from the very beginning where like one guy had pizza and he bought pizza with like 2 Bitcoin and now that's worth whatever it is. now.
Yeah, those stories are in that book too, because it's the whole history of how it was created and the early people getting involved. Now, the one thing that I did learn from it, and I still talk to some of my tech friends about this, and I'll just conclude on this because it's related to the elections, is there have been a lot of people in the tech world saying that blockchain, which is the technology that all crypto is based on, it could really apply to a lot of other things. And I'm talking over my head here because I don't quite get the ones and zeros, but I get theoretically how that works. And they say that you could actually create a completely secure voting system based on blockchain if you wanted to, that couldn't be manipulated. And it would still be anonymous, but everybody could vote. And I've always been fascinated by that because I would love to see a prototype of that. The problem is I would never trust whoever made it.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if we could do it.
Yeah, and then the other side of it is like, so if you use blockchain, people still have to sign up to vote and partake in that. And then it's like, are they signing up people that aren't really there, not real people? You would still need the verification.
Well, they talked through all that and said, yeah, there's a way to do that, and make sure that the people are real, like everybody's assigned a certain number. I don't know. Like everybody has like a mark on their forehead or their hand, and they scan it before they vote,
or buy food.
Yeah, really to do anything. Like I don't know. That sounded a little weird to me, and I was like, I'm not really sure I'm buying into that. That took a weird turn. Right here at the end of the segment, we are going to be right back. We got some fun stuff to talk about. Speaking of Doge, I guess Dogecoin, Elon Musk has a new target for cutting federal spending. And it's not one that anybody has been talking about. CBS News is reporting this, and I'll tell you what it is next.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Jimmy Fallon here with a quick listening tip for you. If you miss Fox Across America or any of your other Fox News favorites, do not worry. I got you covered. You can stream previously aired shows with Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app. So if you're busy work days, it doesn't mean you have to miss out on the news. Listen to your Fox shows on your time with Odyssey. To get started, just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio. That's Odyssey, Audacy. I'm spelling it out in case you're a little slow like me.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode, and if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with threats of intents to seize property or levy rights to property. If you have IRS issues, call the Lance Drury Firm today. Today, don't wait. Those IRS notices have hard deadlines for exercising your appeal rights. If you miss the deadline, your rights to a legal appeal are gone. on. Let the Land Story Law Firm get between you and the IRS today, and we'll help you manage your case to achieve the best outcome. IRS problems are serious legal matters, so call Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Don't wait. Call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, and schedule your free consultation with me, Lance Drury, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
If you're planning to sell and also buy a home in the near future, I know what you're going through. Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty knows selling and buying your next home at the same time can be tricky, especially in our area. Hey, Mark Cox here. If you need to sell and buy at the same time, this is for you. Gloria Lou has several great options for her home sellers, including her Sell and Stay program. That gets you the most money possible for your current home and allows you to stay put until you find your next home. No more stress, worries, or hassles. Gloria Lou makes selling your St. Louis area home easy, and she's been doing this for more than 21 years. Why risk working with an average realtor when you can work with the best? The name to remember is Gloria Lou of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Call Gloria today at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com, 314-325-6888 or GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at GSLHonorFlight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Odyssey is your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to 97.1 FM Talk, even when you don't have a radio. Always streaming at 971talk.com. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Before I get into a new Doge target here for cutting government spending, Brad, do you really think that anything interesting is going to come out of the JFK files?
No.
I don't either.
I just want it out there so people can stop talking about it, but
they won't stop talking about it, though.
No. They'll be like, well, they just deleted everything. And you know what?
They probably would.
If you stop and think about this, if the government was doing some shady stuff, some illegal stuff, if the FBI had JFK assassinated or the CIA, whoever it was, there is 0% chance they have records of it and they kept them.
Yeah, especially for that long.
Yeah, that stuff is gone.
Well, yeah, like he's going to put out a paper that says, here's how we assassinated JFK.
I did it. I was the shooter on the grassy knoll.
Well, here's Trump.
I did it with Kennedy to an extent, but I was asked by some of our government officials not to. And, you have to respect them. I was actually asked by Mike Pompeo, as Secretary of State, not to. And I felt he knew something that maybe, when he asks you not to, you sort of say, why? And he felt that it was just not a good time to release him. And you might ask him why. Maybe he'll deny that even. But he did. He asked me. And some others also, though. They didn't want the Kennedy stuff released. And they're professionals, and I respect them. And they're working for me and the country. They're working for the country. And so I didn't release, but I'm going to release them immediately upon getting, we're going to see the information. We're looking at it right now.
See, that makes me think that there is something in there. Otherwise, why would they care about releasing it?
Well, my thing is this, again, I still stand by the thought that the government didn't keep records of illicit deals. Like all this conspiracy theory stuff, they're not going to have a big file cabinet in the basement that has what exactly they were doing. They're not going to leave a paper trail.
Isn't that the trouble with any of this stuff?
Yes. and so along those lines, it's like, why is Trump hesitant to release it? It's like, well, if he releases what's actually there on it, it's going to be so small and insignificant that people are going to be like, he didn't release the whole thing.
You know what? Even if he releases the whole thing and it's clear that that's it, people are going to say exactly what we're saying right now, which is,
the whole thing.
Well, either they didn't release the whole thing or that's not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to make anything go away unless it says, here's who actually killed JFK.
Unless it actually confirms
Here was
everything.
our plan in Dallas.
Yeah, it confirms everything that we thought. It's like, okay.
It's not going to go away. And that's the trouble with cleaning out the government in general is that you're like, well, if they were to, if any department anywhere was doing anything shady, then the people who were involved with it would have been high up enough in those agencies to also eliminate the record of that stuff.
They're not going to even have they're not going to keep that record. Man, I'll give you a great example. Mike Madigan. That dude, former Speaker House of Illinois, he's in trial right now. I don't know where exactly that's at, but they'll be going to jury soon. He stands a chance of going to jail. That man never had a paper trail for anything he did. Because he knew.
Exactly.
He didn't have a cell phone. He didn't have an email address. You had to contact his secretary, and then his secretary had a paper book that she would keep names on, and then they would schedule the meetings that way.
And then once you write down the name in the book and the meeting happens, secretary tears the page out and then eats it.
Yeah.
That's it.
He eats it.
That's the end of that.
Puts it in the incinerator.
It really, even if you were that stupid to create all kinds of government documents, like official government documents saying, okay, here's how we really created COVID. In the
Here's the recipe.
You still, like, Donald Trump gets elected on November 5th. You would have to just be like, should we get rid of those or should we just leave them? I think we should probably get rid of them, right? Right, guys? And there's a little internal vote, and they go, yeah, I think we'll get rid of them. And then you hire a paper shredder, which apparently was seen outside of some of these places. Paper shredders pulling up and them just dumping documents in them.
That's the other side of it, too. It's like, how like, unique is the idea that a paper shredder would come into a government building and shred stuff?
Yeah, probably not that
it's
unique.
Probably pretty normal.
But the timing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
optics.
It's going to take an act of God. If there's stuff that our government was doing that's being hidden, it's going to take an act of God to find it, because it's not going to be, the new sheriff's in town. Now he's going to go, look through the old file cabinets and find what was really going on. It's just not going to happen that way. But it still could happen. There still could be things. There could be, for instance, whistleblowers come out and say, okay, now that administration's gone, let me tell you about what I was seeing. That's, I think, where you would have to have
most likely thing. But then you same idea. You get into the he said, she said of it.
Yeah, but if you have testimony and they can back it up, that's when it gets interesting. The last clip we haven't played from Trump's interview with Sean Hannity is one where he's talking a little bit about his faith. I look forward to hearing this one.
I turned. If I didn't turn, when the turn was like split second perfect timing. So something happened, and I don't think you can call it just luck. The chance was like 1/8 of a second, or we wouldn't be sitting here. Think of it, in a volume of time, 1/8 of a second, I was in the right position.
Do you believe that moment, people say to me, they see a change in you. Do you believe you've changed? Is this, for example, increased your faith in God?
Yes, I think so. I don't think I've changed, but I think that has taken place, yeah.
Well, if God has protected that man from dying, then God is able to carry out, I think there's a specific scripture that says what was done in secret will be shouted from the rooftops. So, it's possible. I hope that if there is anything like that this would be the time that it comes out. Like, this feels like now's the time.
Yeah.
Right? We've been through it. If there's anything really shady, if there's all this crazy stuff and the reptile people, and even if it's not that salacious, I would really like to see the truth of how involved our government is with whatever, There is a fact that we know that there were underage children being sex trafficked to very powerful people in the world. That's a fact. Jeffrey Epstein got arrested for that fact. He had a book full of people who were doing it. That book is just gone.
Yeah.
And anybody associated with it has never been prosecuted. They've never been pursued. So I'm not saying that that's the one thing that we would find out. You could find out that there's all kinds of weird things that have been going on. I just hope that we do. And I hope that with this administration in place, Pam Bondi's been, is she even confirmed yet?
Not yet.
No, she's not. So she's not even the attorney general yet. So once she becomes the attorney general, that's when we actually could start seeing them pursue some of this stuff. I don't think that they'll publicly say it. I think that they'll do it kind of behind closed doors. And then if they have something, then we'll find out about it. But I hope that we do, assuming that we can. I mentioned that Elon Musk and DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, have a new target for cutting federal spending. It is, Brad, the U.S. penny.
Oh, they're going to get rid of the penny?
Well, they're talking about it, but there's not a clear way to do it. So here's the thing. The penny costs over 3 cents to make now because of the cost of copper. So it costs taxpayers over $179 million, and I'm assuming that means over the amount that you're printing. So if you're printing this amount of money, it costs this amount more just to print that, and you're losing money on the transaction.
Right.
So the question is, because of the penny's rising cost during the past year, it says the penny's costs have only continued to rise with the U.S. Mint's 2024 annual report. So this isn't just Elon Musk saying this. This is what I think it is. This is the U.S. Mint's 2024 annual report finding that 1 cent now costs about 3.7 cents to manufacture and distribute. The question is, should we get rid of the penny?
Man, this reminds me of like whenever coins used to be made out of silver and stuff like that. If you've got old coins, you can hear it sounds different when it hits the table. And what they've found out is that it cost more in the silver to make that coin than what that coin signified. So they started making it out of other materials.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you look at the edge and you got like the zinc and the whatever else that's made out of the coin. I wonder if, because you still need a 1 cent. As long as you're a cash society, you're going to need something that signifies that 1 penny. What if you stopped making it out of copper and made it out of a more affordable material? Can you get the production cost down back to a penny?
That's the big question, because they did this for a while during World War II.
Yes.
You know this. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen I think it's 1943 penny is silver.
Was it aluminum?
But yeah, they're not made of silver, like they're silver colored.
Right.
But they were made from probably aluminum. They're lighter.
Right.
And so aluminum would make sense. But it was for the war effort. Why wouldn't you do that? Now, I don't get that. That seems like the solution.
Yeah, a penny doesn't have to be made out of copper.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like paper money. Paper money isn't made out of anything. It's just a note, a promissory note, essentially, signifying this is worth that much, and that way we don't have to print out gold coins for it.
There's coming a day when you won't need pennies anymore. Inflation will continue, and at some point you won't need a penny. I mean, we're kind of borderline there right now, but are you ready to actually get rid of it is the question. Because you technically
if you could get rid of it, if you could make it to where taxes taxes already included, then you make your prices nice round numbers, then you wouldn't need any coins.
Well, I think what they're saying is nobody cares about a penny anymore. So if you're at the gas station and your change is 53 cents, the gas station would either give you 55 cents or 50 cents back, and nobody would really care that much.
Not in one transaction, but that stuff adds up.
That's what I'm not ready to get rid of it.
You've got to figure out how nobody gets ripped off in the process. And if you're like, okay, well, if it's over this, then you got to round up and give them 55 cents back. Well, eventually, the one place that's always having to round up, because people aren't always going to have to round up, it's going to hurt their bottom line.
Well, everybody would figure out what that number is, and
Yes.
they would price their stuff to where they were always on the better end of it.
Right.
So
And then
I'm not
people
ready
would
to
be
do
getting
that.
hosed.
Yeah, and that's a lot of work too for a gas station to think about every candy bar that comes through. Oh, how do we price this at that?
And then
point?
every time your local whatever changes their tax rates, then you've got to go back and recalculate the whole thing for everything in your store to make it work.
And people have been suggesting this for a decade now. That we're fine. We could get rid of the penny because so many transactions of any scale are digital. That how much change, how much cash are you actually using? So I get it, and there probably is a day where that could happen. I just don't think that day is today. By the way, are you a coin guy? Like, are you interested in that topic?
Yeah, I've got like ancient coins and stuff like that.
Do you really?
Yes.
Like
Holy Land.
No kidding.
Yes, widow's mites, which is like if you read the Bible, the widow's last 2 copper pieces. I've got a couple of those. This 30 silver pieces. Those are very valuable, so I've got copies and replicas of those, but I've got old Roman coins and stuff like that too.
I did not know this about you, but it makes sense. You
Yeah,
like history.
I had an acquaintance who had an inroad there, and I was like, I like history. Why don't you, like, this is where I have a chance to put my hands on history. Can you help me out here? And so we worked a deal, and he got me some coins from his guy over in Israel, and I did some stuff for him, and I've got some ancient coins that I use as object lessons for the youth that I like to look at for history. I know exactly where they're sitting too. I could bring them in tomorrow and show you. But
I remember learning about coins when I was a kid, and not just like, oh, what is a quarter worth? What is a dime worth? And all that stuff. I remember that too. But, and by the way, when in kindergarten, they put up a quarter and they told you, well, this is 25 cents. And then they and big pictures, for the little kindergartners. And I remember sitting in that class and they put up a penny and they go, what's that worth? And nobody would raise their hand. I was like, ooh, call on me. And they're like, what's it worth, Ryan?
Your arm over your head.
Me. And they're like, what's it worth? And I was like, 1 cent. They're like, good job. Okay. Now, then they put up a nickel. And they're like, what is that worth? And so either me or somebody said 5 cents. I'm like, okay, great. I'm understanding. This is going great. Then they put up the dime. I'm like, what is this worth? And they put it between the penny and the nickel.
Oh, that's deceptive.
Because the size.
But it's smaller than a penny.
And I was like, well, it can't be less than a cent, right? Okay, so deductive reasoning would suggest, and so I raised my hand, and they're like, Ryan. I'm like, 3 cents. Pretty much figured that out, right? And they're like, no. And I was like, 2? What could it be?
Yeah, it's between the nickel and the penny.
Yeah, and they're like, no, this one's worth 10. And I was like, damn this government.
And that was the birth of a conservative.
That was it. You think you're so tricky with your sizes.
It's conspiracy theories, and they lie to you, and they won't tell you the truth.
It was like one of the first things I taught my kids because I was like, this will not happen to you in kindergarten. No, it will not.
No.
One of the other things, though, my kids are really, they love looking at coins now because I've taught them a little bit about them. Yeah. I'm not that into it, but it's just, I don't know why. It's kind of fun that I've taught them to look at the year on the coin.
Yes.
And do you know the year of the quarter that you keep now? Because there's silver in them.
Oh, is it 62?
You're close.
I don't remember specifically, though.
It was 1965 that they stopped putting silver in quarters.
Yeah.
So if you find a quarter, and they're harder to find now than ever because anybody who, like, even if a handful of people know about it, well, if you see one, you take it out of circulation. You just keep it. And if you see a 1964 or earlier quarter, they have silver in them. And I think the farther back you go, the more silver they have.
Yeah.
But 1964 was the last year they had some silver in them. And so those are the ones that if you see them, you hang on to it.
Keep it.
In the last, I kid you not, in the last 5 or 10 years, since my kids have been born and I've been teaching them about this, I think at the time I taught them, we found 2 or 3 within a year. And they were like, oh my gosh, we're rich. And I'm like, you're darn right we are. That's worth like $3 now. But since then, I have not found a single quarter since probably 2017 or 18.
That's because your kids are finding them. And
Their kid got them all. Well, anyway, this is the Annie Frey Show. This is the 2 o'clock hour. Oh, man. Lots of people asking questions in the chat. I'll have to look at that during the break. We will get back to this and other topics and get to the results of, I guess we're talking about money, aren't we? Have you ever bought crypto? That's today's poll question. Vote. We'll get to the results of the poll at the end of the show, which is coming up in the next segment on the Annie Frey Show.
Girls, what y'all trying to do?
This is the Annie Frey Show. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Extreme cold weather coming in through St. Louis this mid-January probably. If you're having issues with your furnace, give me a call. If you were told you need a new furnace without a question, give me a call. You'll be happy you did. We're all the same when it comes to like buying a furnace and air conditioner, just like with pretty much anything else. If you're like me, I want a furnace that heats, and in the heat of summer, I want an air conditioner that works. Pretty much simple. So is a more high-efficient air conditioner or more high-efficient furnace give me more heat, more or more cooling? No, it doesn't at all. It gives you the exact same. So with that being said, you need to call me. Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600, or you can do the online thing, and it's Bart Inman, Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Damon John here, the People Shark. I want to share a secret that's changing people's lives. There's a company called National Debt Relief that can help you get out of debt faster than you ever thought possible, like 12 to 48 months from now. With National Debt Relief, you can cut your minimum credit card payments by 50% and pay as little as $250 a month. Imagine, instead of paying multiple high interest payments every month, you can make one low monthly program payment, plus you can get approved in just a few minutes. They've helped hundreds of thousands of people just like you. Trust me when I tell you, National Debt Relief's got your back and can help you get back on track.
To learn how you can reduce your credit card debt and become debt-free, call 800-358-4422. 800-358-4422. Again, that's 800-358-4422.
Don't wait, apply today.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Have you bought any cryptocurrency? Yes or no? Jump on Annie's YouTube page and answer the question. We are going to share the results of that poll in the next segment, but there's still some time that you can get it in and tell us, have you bought cryptocurrency in your life? Yes or no? Leave us a comment, too, after you vote, and we might read that comment on the air. The time is 2:45. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Well, good Thursday afternoon. There's still fires burning out of control in Los Angeles. We'll have the very latest on that. We have Nick Schroer, state senator, coming up at 3:25 to talk about the St. Louis police control issue. And look, I'm very sad about Jim Acosta at CNN. He's been taken off the daily schedule. We're very worried about him. We'll talk about that as well. It's all coming up after Fox News at 3. Hang in there.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
America's most accessible talk show host, Brian Kilmeade. That was his song.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, wait, did we mean to play that? But yeah, that's Little Talks of Monsters.
Little Talks. Did you know that song, that I think Kilmeade played that song? Does he still even use that song? I don't know if he does. Does he? Okay, if he does.
Yeah, he uses it every day.
That song is a joke. Do you realize that?
No.
Because the chorus is, "Don't listen to a word I say."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so I'm sure he did that to be funny. It's a good song, though, too. When I was in Iceland, random story, and then we'll get to the results of the poll. When I was in Iceland, they were so proud of that song because it was a #1 worldwide song. I think that both of those are, it's a duo. I think both of them were from Iceland, and that was about 2013. And that rarely happens. They have Bjork, and they have Sigur Rós, and that's it.
And I've heard of the first one.
Yeah, the second one didn't have any hits, but they do exist. Before we get to the results of the poll, I mentioned this to Ethan. I don't know if I talked to you about it, Brad, but can you think of any commercials in your entire life that you're like, oh, yeah, I still remember that commercial? Like it had a commercial that had an impact on you recently or when you were a kid or whatever.
Yes. So, do you remember the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie?
Yes.
From was it 1989 or 1990 or something like that? I had the VHS, and there was a Pizza Hut commercial at the beginning of that VHS, and it was about a little kid who played right field, and there was a song. And so in that year, I think I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I used to sing along with it. Well, my mom thought it was the cutest thing, and my grandmas used to think it was the cutest thing, and they would always ask me to sing that song whenever I was in front of them. And I watched that movie the other day, and it led with the commercial was there. The commercial was on the digital version of the movie that I watched.
No kidding.
Yes. And I watched it, and I could sing along with it like it was nothing. I'm 41 years old, and I was 5, and I still remember that. Man. I can still see the little kid with the pudgy thing kind of like looking up in the sky in the sun and ducking.
And he sticks his hand up, and it just goes right in his glove, right?
Yes.
I remember that commercial.
Yeah, I play right field. It's important to know. You got to know how to catch. You got to know how to throw, and that's why I play right field, way out where the dandelions grow. And then they go to Pizza Hut afterwards because they won the game.
That's right, because he caught the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that commercial. Okay, you just made me realize something that I'm really ashamed of. When I was a kid, in the 80s, breakdancing was a thing. I mean, it's still a thing, but
kid than me then.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm a couple years older than you. And I'm just realizing that when I was like 3, 4, 5 years old, I would see breakdancers on TV, and I would just start breakdancing. I wasn't really breakdancing.
Yes.
I was just sort of like shuffling around in a circle. Yeah. And I'm realizing,
like
I'm not kidding, at this moment, that my parents were still like, pretty social when I was probably 3, 4 years old or whatever. So we'd go to people's houses and parties, and I'd be with other kids, and they would call me in and go, Ryan, show everybody your breakdancing. And I would do it, and I thought I was awesome. I was not awesome. I was bad at it.
You were the joke.
They were making a joke. And I'm realizing that now. That is so sad for me. Dad, Mom, are you listening? I just figured you out. And because I thought I was amazing up until this moment in 2025. That's so sad.
You've done the same thing to your children.
But anyway, the whole purpose of talking about the ads thing. Are there any? I'll let you. Do you want to chime in on this, Ethan?
I've had to kind of sift through like some like unpopular commercial like things, just lists and websites. And as I am, a couple are coming to mind, and this one just popped up. It's the first one I really remember. It is the Snickers "You're Not You When You're Hungry." The first one where they had Betty White, and she gets tackled by a football player, and then eat a Snickers, eats it, and it's like this big old dude's like, better. So that's my first. But at first, it's Betty White with the ball, and she just gets laid out.
I remember that ad too.
So yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. I like the ones that come back to me are like the funny ones, but I think I remember more than anything like the jingles that go along with it, like the Old Spice, like the whistling, like stuff like that. I feel like is more. Yeah, that exactly. Like that I feel like is more the kind of stuff that comes to mind for me. But yeah, that Snickers one is definitely up there.
For me, it was actually just a couple years ago. It was the Lance Drury Law Firm. Whenever I hear that, I'm like, oh yeah, takes me back. Sorry.
So like just like the script written,
I hear it, and I'm just
written
like,
on your
yeah.
brain.
Yeah, it's just like emotional. No, but there's an ad campaign right now that everybody knows. It's the Limu Emu
and Doug.
And those are good ads. My kids love the Limu Emu right now because he's in that ad where he's got the hobo stick and he's like leaving home.
the emu does.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Shane Gillis SNL skit with Limu Emu?
Yeah, I have. And it was good too.
You should show your kids that one.
But I have no way. But they're leaving town. And the Limu's even town, and he's like, "Oh, he proved us wrong.
You're never gonna make anything."
It's a funny commercial.
How do you get in here?
But they still do the ones where the person's standing in front of the Statue of Liberty too. Mm-hmm. So there's like 2 different versions of
Liberty
the Limu
Bibbidi.
ads. Yeah.
How about
and Liberty Bibbidi kind of made those stick. I think they would have abandoned those long ago, but that one was so sticky that they stuck with it. So there's one running right now. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It runs all the time. It's the dude with the statue of himself.
Yes.
Okay? I posted on Twitter 2 weeks ago. I said, look, Liberty Mutual, and I tagged them in it. I said, look, you guys, your ads are usually really good. This one's a swing and a miss. The one where the guy's melting, it's
terrible.
He's a bad actor. It just didn't work. It also is like, did you not think about this? Taking a wax statue outside. I mean, the logic is stupid. I don't like it. So I tagged them in it, and I said, look, I like you guys. I like your ads. This one's not good. Ever since then, and this may be anecdotal, I have not seen that ad. And maybe they're still running. I just haven't seen it. Now, bear with me, though. This was like 2 weeks ago. I have not seen that ad one time. Again, if you have, that's cool. It's just me then. But I was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen that ad since then. Maybe they saw my post and they thought, okay, it's had its
They
run.
just geofenced around you.
Maybe. I don't know. But I look up today, and I share an office with Mark Cox. I look up at the TV, and that ad comes on. And I was like, oh, I was wrong. They're still running it. I just hadn't seen it. It's a different version of that ad.
It's the one where he gets hit with a Frisbee.
All of a sudden, the Frisbee comes in, sticks in the side of the thing. I'm like, oh, that one's a little funnier. It's not like their best, but it's better than the other one. And I'm wondering if here on the Annie Frey Show, if on Wiggins America, wherever it is, if Liberty Mutual isn't, listening and being like, all right, I get it. It's not very good. Maybe they knew it. You know?
because I bet that 2 weeks is the amount of time that it took to turn that.
No, they didn't reshoot it. I'm sure they had a whole bunch in the can.
They've just shifted how often they're running the other one. Because I saw that one before you made that tweet too.
Yeah,
I like I am so tired of Flo from Progressive, but I like the Progressive ones where they're like teaching kids not to be like their parents and they're starting to act like their parents. Have you seen these ones?
Oh yeah,
and there's
been
like
around for a
it's
while.
like but it's like the therapist that's like, nope, don't do that. You don't do that. You do it like this. I enjoy
guys
those
like
ones.
Blair.
Yeah, like his kids like putting like logs on a fire. And he doesn't like really stack them to where like the fire
I
can
haven't
really
seen this
shoot
one.
up. And he like starts to do it for him. He's like, nope, don't. He has to learn. Like it's just,
Yeah, that's a good run. Yeah, the insurance companies really are the only ones making the creative ads right now. I don't know why, but they are. Like all the State Farm ones, the Jake, they're attempting
even
to
like
be funny. They're
the
not
Capital
all great,
One
but-
insurance, they got like the Capital One guy that they're trying to make like their guy, where they're he's in front of all the kids at school and they're like Derek Jeter's next to him and like an astronaut and they keep going back. So, how are you successful? And Derek Jeter's like, well, he's actually I was talking to the Capital One guy.
Yeah. Commercials are an art form, man.
Yeah.
And the good ones, I'm glad we still have all the streaming services are switching over to commercial. The business model didn't work. And so they're trying to figure out how to make money again.
Yeah,
right.
Now they're charging you and showing you commercials.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, our crypto question today was the YouTube live chat poll. Have you ever bought crypto? And Ethan's got the results.
I sure do. 226 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. As Mr. Wiggins said, have you ever bought currency? And this one, not very close. An overwhelming no. 81% of the people speaking saying no. They have not bought cryptocurrency. Do some simple math. 19% have.
Yeah, that's the way it kind of tracked all day. It was about 20% of people said that they had. And some of the comments suggested that, like Andy just commented a little bit ago, said, yes, bought crypto just this past week, simply as an experiment. I think that's where a lot of people are. He said he spent a total of $1 on Solana. I've never even heard of that one. Well, just be careful if you're out there doing other ones because, they rise
Be prepared
and
to
fall.
lose that dollar.
Yeah. Well, this is the Annie Frey Show. We expect that she'll be back tomorrow, and we will see you then.
Our favorite reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler? Free service for life with no fine print. That's right. When you buy your engagement ring or any piece of jewelry at Diamonds Direct, you will never have to pay a dime in the future for sizing, cleaning, or routine maintenance. Even if she accidentally knocks out a side accent diamond, Diamonds Direct will replace it free. Now, other stores claim to offer warranties, but the catch is that they won't honor it unless you bring your ring in for regular inspections. But at Diamonds Direct, inspections are never required. There's no gotcha clause.
parts, no fine print, no looking for ways to void the warranty. Plain and simple, at Diamonds Direct, we stand behind what we sell, and we're committed to service it at no charge for life, period. It's all part of our commitment to provide you with the ultimate in value and total confidence before, during, and long after your purchase. Diamonds Direct, the jeweler